Chapter 688. After the chaos in the heavenly border, the trial of the sword ancestor would probably not be able to continue. In a certain palace above the great desolate lake, Ning Fan and Sovereign Ling had a long conversation before leaving. He gave the heavenly border to Sovereign Ling as a betrothal gift. He temporarily lent Su Daozi to the Ling Palace to unite the remaining forces in the heavenly border. When he walked out of the palace, it was snowing heavily and the night was dark. Under a white plum tree, a lady stood quietly, waiting for Ning Fan to leave the palace. She was none other than little Dugu. "What did my father say to you?" "He discussed with me about completely subduing the heavenly border. Then, he told me a lot of things related to you. Your hobbies, your personality, your... Humph. Why did my father tell you everything?" Little Dugu gently snorted. Her eyes were filled with joy. "I heard from your father that you hate killing." Ning Fan looked at little Dugu with interest. From what he knew, little Dugu was not a simple person. She was quite intelligent, had extraordinary combat power, had astonishing sword techniques, and was very clear about her likes and dislikes. She was not Jiha. She was not a naive woman. She actually hated killing. It was really interesting. Every time I see a massacre, I feel very uncomfortable. My heart hurts. Little Dugu said indifferently, as if she was talking about something that she did not really care about. "Your heart hurts? Do you want me to help you take a look?" Ning Fan looked at little Dugu's perky breasts. He raised his body and stretched out his hand, pretending that he wanted to check the position of little Dugu's heart. Little Dugu glared at Ning Fan unhappily and said, "Go to hell, little devil Ning. If you want to take advantage of me, can't you find a better reason? I'm not sick nor injured. Don't worry. It's just that there's a force in my heart. It doesn't like killing, but it will also protect me." Ning Fan's brows slightly knitted. He could not help but recall the scene during the day. When Su Daozi's black crow technique covered the sky with death chi, even Sovereign Ling and the others could not resist it. However, little Dugu was not injured at all under the attack of the death chi. Is it the mysterious force that she mentioned that is protecting her? "I just wanted to tease you just now. Now, I really want to check your body." Ning Fan took a step forward and held little Dugu's soft waist with one hand. His other hand caressed her lower abdomen and slowly moved upwards. "Shameless." Little Dugu's delicate body tensed up. The side of her face that was not tainted by a single speck of dust was flushed red. She pushed Ning Fan away and ran away like she was avoiding a wolf. "Your master is waiting for you. Go quickly. I'm really fine. Trust me." Dugu's voice could be heard faintly in the darkness of the night. It was very pleasant to hear. "Are you really all right? If so, I'll believe you." Ning Fan's brows loosened slightly. His mind wandered and he closed his eyes. The figure of an extremely wretched and shameless old man slowly appeared in his mind. Yes, little Dugu was right. It was time to look for Master and fulfill the promise from back then. Without little Dugu's presence, Ning Fan's expression completely disappeared. His expression was cold and emotionless. At this moment he was no longer pretending. He was just a person who had lost all 7 emotions. He had said that even though he had lost his 7 emotions, he was not a heartless person. Even if he had to lie, even if he had to hide, he would still smile at the person he loved. With a flash of his body, Ning Fan disappeared into the darkness of the night. 10 million li north, there was an ice-snow sword city. There were many cultivators guarding the city. All of them were sword cultivators of the Ling Palace. They seemed to be people sent by little Dugu. It seemed like little Dugu was really keeping her promise and helping him protect the old devil. Even though the old devil had his own brilliant plan to get Emperor Xia as his bodyguard, Ning Fan did not know about this until Emperor Xia sent him a letter. In a cold room, the old devil was sitting alone on a bed. Emperor Xia was not present. There was a chessboard on the bed. An oil lamp was lit beside it. The old devil was holding a chess piece in his hand. He was playing chess with himself like a high scholar. Suddenly, a breeze blew in the cold room. A young man in white robes appeared. The old devil pretended to be profound and said, "Disciple, you're here. I haven't seen you for many years. You're already at the 6th Shatterer realm. Not bad, not bad. You didn't waste my efforts to nurture you in the past. Ning Fan looked at the old devil who was behaving like this. At first, he was stunned and then speechless. What was the old devil playing at? Imitating someone else's master, pretending to be a senior expert, and acting serious? It seemed like the old devil had never been serious since the day Ning Fan met him. Disciple, why are you still in a daze? Come and play a game of chess with me. I'm indifferent to fame and fortune. I'm far away from the world. On a snowy night under a green lamp, it's really a good thing to have a good disciple to play chess with. The old devil's scholarly appearance made Ning Fan speechless. Ning Fan did not say much. He sat on the bed, facing the old devil across the chessboard. The old devil's scalp suddenly felt itchy. He wanted to scratch it, but he was afraid that it would ruin his image as a senior expert, so he resisted the urge. With a wave of his sleeve, all the black and white chess pieces returned to the jar. Then, the old devil narrowed his eyes and said to Ning Fan indifferently, "You take the white chess piece." In ancient times, the old devil's action was to let Ning Fan take the initiative. After all, he was the master. How could he take advantage of his disciple? If that's the case, then this disciple won't be polite. Ning Fan smiled. He was really not going to be polite. He took the white chess piece and played 10 games with the old devil. In 9 games, the old devil was defeated. With Ning Fan's chess technique and wisdom, even if he played against the Heavenly Emperor, he would have a 50-50 chance of winning. Against the old devil, it would be a complete one-sided slaughter. The 10th game was about to end. The old devil had lost to the point where he couldn't bear it anymore. The old devil was angry. He could no longer pretend to be a senior expert. "Motherfucker! I'm your master. Will you die if you let me win 2 games? Before the 10th game was over, the old devil flipped the table. "This game is a draw." He smiled in an extremely wretched manner. Ning Fan smiled but did not say anything. If he didn't kill the old devil 10 games in a row, the old devil would probably continue to act pretentious. The scholarly old devil gave him goosebumps. Disciple greets master. After not seeing you for 100 years, master's complexion seems to be good. Ning Fan carefully observed the old devil. The old devil's current cultivation base had already recovered to the peak of void fragmentation. Without a doubt, it was definitely the help of Wei Xian and the others. As for the devil poison in the old devil's body, it had already been removed. Thinking about it, the old devil had Emperor Xia by his side. What kind of poison could stop him? He didn't want to remove the absolute yin poison in the past because he was disheartened and wanted to spend the rest of his life in Yu country until the old devil met Ning Fan, another descendant of the yin-yang evil vein, and saw the hope of reviving his wife. Therefore, he wanted to fight again, all for the sake of awakening his beloved. Your complexion doesn't look so good. 7 emotions extinguished, reincarnation abandoned, devil intent born. What exactly happened? The old devil looked at Ning Fan with an extremely dignified expression. There was no trace of wretchedness on his face, only worry. It's just a small matter. Master, Han Yitian has died in my hands. Please restrain your grief. Ning Fan sighed. I know he walked the wrong path. It was the path he chose. Since he made a choice, he must bear the consequences. The old devil's eyes gradually turned cloudy, as if he was lonely. Oh right, the Dao soil should be completely unsealed, right? Ning Fan changed the topic. It's completely unsealed. The old devil's eyes suddenly lit up. His spittle flew everywhere as he spoke incessantly. Speaking of this Dao soil, it's a good thing. Normally, only the great powers with Shikong can get a little of it. This old man took advantage of the seclusion of the pure Yang sect master to kill his way into the sect and seize the heaven-avoiding coffin and an acre of Dao soil, causing chaos in the sect. The old devil was in high spirits when he talked about his glorious achievements in the past. It seemed like he would talk for 3 days and 3 nights. Ning Fan shook his head and decisively interrupted the old devil's reminiscing of the past. How do you plant a Dao fruit? All of a sudden, the old devil's excited expression was replaced by a look of pity. He heaved a long sigh and finally said, the way to plant a Dao fruit is the same as the way mortals plant. You need to sow seeds. There are two sources of seeds. One is the Tao power seed, which is very difficult to collect. The other is to steal the immortal seed from a cultivator's body. All cultivators born in the four heavens have the immortal seed. Immortal seed? All of a sudden, Ning Fan recalled something. That year, when he was still in the Sinister Sparrow sect, he accidentally entered the Northern Heaven and met the Tablet Palm Immortal Emperor. The Tablet Palm Immortal Emperor was surprised that Ning Fan didn't have an immortal seed in his body. Ning Fan wasn't a cultivator of the four heavens, so he didn't have an immortal seed in his body. So, he must use the yin and yang energy to condense the yin-yang Tao seed to help the old devil plant the Tao fruit? The old devil's next words confirmed Ning Fan's thoughts. He handed Ning Fan 3 pieces of black stones and a jade slip and explained. This jade slip records the specific method of condensing a Tao seed. This stone is called the Tao seed stone. It is very precious. Your cultivation base is still low. You must borrow the power of the Tao seed stone to have a chance of condensing a Tao seed. You only have a chance, but that chance is very slim. The Tao seed stone is very precious. Even with this old man's connections, I can only get 3 of them. You only have 3 chances to condense the yin-yang Tao seed. If you fail, the old devil revealed a bitter expression. If he fails, his 100 years of waiting would be in vain. Master, don't worry. This disciple will do his best. Ning Fan took the Tao seed stone and the jade slip and entered the profound yin world. 3 days later, Ning Fan returned to the outside world. His face was as pale as a sheet of paper. He sighed to the old devil who had a dark expression. I failed. Condensing a Tao seed was very dangerous. If it fails, the backlash would be very heavy. The success rate of condensing a Tao seed was very low. A void fragmentation expert's success rate was not more than 1 in 20. 3 Tao seed stones, 3 chances to condense a Tao seed, but none of them succeeded. The old devil instantly aged a lot. He closed his eyes and sighed in despair. Then he looked at the pale Ning Fan and patted the latter's shoulder. You've worked hard. Go and have a rest. Don't leave any hidden injuries. This old man wants to be alone for a while. Looking at the old devil, Ning Fan's heart suddenly ached. The old devil had waited for so many years just to revive his true love. The key to that revival was a yin-yang Tao fruit. Ning Fan was the old devil's hope, but now he had failed to live up to his expectations. Ning Fan didn't leave. He looked at the old devil and suddenly said, the second source of a Tao seed is an immortal seed. I don't know if I have the chance to condense an immortal seed and use it as a seed to plant a yin-yang Tao fruit. The old devil's eyes flashed when he heard this. Then he became angry. Nonsense. Ning Fan nodded. Looking at the old devil's angry face, it seemed like there was really a way to get the yin-yang Tao seed. Disciple will go and rest first. Without asking the old devil about the immortal seed, Ning Fan left the cold room and flew towards the peak of a certain snow mountain. On the peak of that snow mountain, a golden-eyed sword cultivator stood alone. Ning Fan greets Senior Xia. Ning Fan bowed respectfully. What's the matter? Emperor Xia's tone was a little cold. His back was facing Ning Fan and he didn't even bother to turn around. He looked at the falling snow in the sky. His back seemed a little bleak. There was a feeling of longing that was slowly sublimating and suppressing around him. This made Ning Fan a little surprised. A person like Emperor Xia also had someone he missed? Who could it be? And this junior wants to ask senior how to condense an immortal seed. Ning Fan explained. You want to condense an immortal seed and obtain a 50% chance of becoming an immortal? Emperor Xia turned around and looked at Ning Fan with disdain. Cultivators in the four heavens were born with an immortal seed. Cultivators in the lower world could condense it after birth. Those who had an immortal seed had a 50% higher chance of becoming an immortal than those who didn't. However, those who relied on an immortal seed to become an immortal would never be as powerful as those who didn't have an immortal seed. When those who had an immortal seed become an immortal, the immortal seed would absorb 30% of the cultivator's cultivation base. After that, the immortal seed would disappear. This was the price to pay for opportunistic means. However, for that 50% chance of success, Many people would pay any price just to condense an immortal seed. Emperor Xia was thinking, is Ning Fan a short-sighted person who doesn't like to give up on his cultivation base for a 50% chance of becoming an immortal? Is becoming an immortal really so obsessed? What's the big deal about becoming an immortal? Noticing the disdain in Emperor Xia's eyes, Ning Fan was stunned. Then he explained. This junior wants to condense an immortal seed not to become an immortal but to use the immortal seed as a Dao seed to plant the yin-yang Dao fruit and save Master's wife. What? Using the immortal seed as a Dao seed? Why, nonsense. Even Emperor Xia said that Ning Fan was being ridiculous. Ning Fan was stunned. Then, his expression turned solemn. He thought to himself, could it be that this method has a great hidden danger? Otherwise, why did Master and Emperor Xia say that it's nonsense? Senior, may I ask if there will be any side effects if I use the immortal seed as a Dao seed? Don't you know? Even though the immortal seed is detestable, if the person who possesses it gives up on it, the consequences will be even more severe. Everyone only has one chance to possess an immortal seed in their life. If you first condense the immortal seed and then give up on it, not only will you not be able to increase your chances of becoming an immortal by 50%, your chances of becoming an immortal will also be lower by 50% compared to ordinary people. Do you know what this means? Emperor Xia shook his head and sighed. Ning Fan frowned. Of course, he knew what this meant. The chances of an ordinary person becoming an immortal was less than 1 in 10,000. If they lose their immortal seed, their chances of becoming an immortal would be reduced by another 50%. However, if there were other methods to increase the chances of success, this hidden danger would not be a concern. As long as he could help Old Devil achieve his wish and save Master's wife, it would not matter even if his chances of becoming an immortal were lower. Senior, if you know the method to condense an immortal seed, please teach me this technique. Ning Fan said with a serious expression. Of course, I know this technique. However, do you really want to learn it? Aren't you afraid that you won't be able to become an immortal in this lifetime because of losing this 50% chance? Emperor Xia looked at Ning Fan meaningfully. So what? Ning Fan said proudly. Emperor Xia raised his head and laughed. For the first time, he found Ning Fan pleasing to the eye. No matter how high Ning Fan's potential was and how much fate brought them together, he only looked at Ning Fan slightly. His attitude towards Ning Fan was still as cold as before. Ning Fan's current attitude of looking down on the path of immortality had won Emperor Xia's appreciation. So what if he became an immortal? Too many people pursued fame and fortune in order to become an immortal, forgetting their roots. What's so good about immortality? Ning Fan was willing to give up his immortal seed for his master. His action had won Emperor Xia's admiration. Becoming an immortal was just a means. It was not the end nor the goal. If one only cultivated for the sake of longevity, then this path of cultivation was completely meaningless. Too many people had lived their entire lives but they never thought about what they were living for. Take it. Emperor Xia threw a jade slip to Ning Fan and laughed. Then, he turned into a ray of sword light and disappeared without a trace. Ning Fan took the jade slip and cupped his fists in the direction where Emperor Xia left. Then, he scanned the jade slip with his spirit sense. Without saying anything, he entered the profound Yin world. 10 days later, Ning Fan came to find the old devil with a brocade box. He handed the box to the old devil and said with a faint smile, "You have the Dao seed." The old devil took the brocade box and placed it on the table at the side without even looking at it. His cloudy eyes trembled as he looked at Ning Fan with a complicated expression. There was no joy, only anger and heartache. "Little Ning, you are taking your immortal path as a joke." Nonsense. The old devil clenched his fists tightly and his knuckles cracked. He was feeling guilty and blaming himself. He was afraid that Ning Fan would not be able to become an immortal in this lifetime because of what happened today and his future would be ruined. "Master, have you forgotten what you taught me in the past? If you can't get something, you can only snatch it. If you can't snatch it, you can only snatch it by force. If I continue to snatch it, I won't be afraid that I won't have the opportunity to become an immortal. So what if I lose my 50% chance? But I haven't given you any benefits. Even if I did give you some things, they are insignificant. You don't have to do this for me. The old devil felt even more guilty. On the bigger side, you are my master, so it is natural for me to help you. On the smaller side, you are my brother-in-law, so I will also help you for Duga's sake. Ning Fan deliberately said those words that were asking for a beating. His figure flashed and left this place. The old devil's guilty and touched face turned pale in an instant. Brother-in-law, brother-in-law. How could he forget that he married Xiao Mei and Ning Fan was going to marry little Dugu? Damn. Thinking about it, he, as the master, was really going to become the brother-in-law of his disciple. Little brat. You want to be a junior, don't you? Motherfucker, why did I accept such a shameless disciple? He even dared to touch the sister of the master's wife. In other words, the old devil was also very shameless. He even dared to touch the sister of his disciple's wife. Ning Fan flew to the peak of a snow mountain and looked at the sky full of snow. His expression gradually calmed down. He would do what he promised. Today he had done it. Could this mortal bond be considered to be over? His figure flashed and appeared in a snow city. The night was snowing heavily, but there was a wine shop that was not closed yet. The lights were dim. Ning Fan walked into the wine shop and asked for a pot of wine. He sat by the window and looked at the wind and snow outside in silence. Aya, isn't this Brother Ning? We are really fated to meet each other. I didn't expect to meet you in the sword world. A crazy voice suddenly resounded beside Ning Fan. Ning Fan was stunned. He turned his head and looked at the person beside him. It's you? Why did you come to the sword world? I am escaping. In the past, I sneaked into the sword world while escaping. Shopkeeper, quickly bring me all the good wine in your shop. I want to drink with Brother Ning until we are drunk. Chapter 689. At 2 Ning Fan looked at the burly man in front of him thoughtfully. The burly man's clothes were tattered and he had a crazed look on his face. He was someone he knew. Lun. He was the person who helped Ning Fan calculate the whereabouts of his mother in the Middle State. He was the person who got Ning Fan's help and escaped from the 4 old men. He did not expect to meet Wu Chen in the sword world. It was really a coincidence. Ning Fan did not ask how a peak divine transformation realm cultivator escaped from another world. Everyone had their own secrets. In Ning Fan's opinion, Wu Chen was also a person with secrets. I'm Wu Chen. I'm the lawless Wu. I'm the murderous Chen. Recalling Wu Chen's domineering self-introduction in the past, Ning Fan could not help but feel nostalgic. In the eyes of others, Wu Chen was a madman. However, Ning Fan knew that he was not an ordinary person. Perhaps his cultivation base was not high, but his capabilities were definitely not weak. For example, the extremely mysterious 12 earthly branches divination technique was not something that ordinary people could learn. It has been many years since we last met. Brother Wu, you are still as elegant as ever. Ning Fan cupped his fists and bowed. Ha! Elegant my ass. I don't look elegant at all. You, on the other hand, have shocked the 9 worlds. I really admire you. Hey, why isn't the innkeeper serving the wine? Hurry up and bring me the wine. Wu Chen looked at the innkeeper impatiently. He saw that the innkeeper was picking his teeth with a bamboo stick indifferently. When he saw Wu Chen looking at him, he sneered disapprovingly. This was a city of mortals. The people in the city were all mortals. They did not know how strong Ning Fan was. They did not know that Wu Chen was an old monster at the peak divine transformation realm. The only thing they knew was that Wu Chen was a lunatic. A lunatic who wanted to dine and dash and drink without paying. Wu Chen, you still owe me 3,000 copper coins. I'll serve you the wine when you pay me back. The innkeeper harumphed coldly. Ha! Lunatic Wu wants to drink when he doesn't have money. I'm dying of laughter. A few customers burst into laughter. Do you think I don't have money? I gambled yesterday and won 5,000 copper coins. Here, take it. A bunch of fools who are greedy. Wu Chen angrily took the money pouch from his waist and took it. He took out 5 coins and slammed them on the table. Then he looked at the other customers complacently. The shopkeeper looked as if he had seen something unbelievable. The other customers also opened their mouths so wide that an egg could be stuffed inside. Wu Chen is rich now. Wu Chen actually spent money to buy wine. This can't be real. Hurry up and serve the wine. Serve the good wine. Uncle Wu Chen laughed heartily. The innkeeper immediately ordered the waiter to serve the wine. Ning Fan looked at Wu Chen in surprise and asked with a faint smile, "Is this how you have been living all these years?" Ning Fan naturally did not expect Wu Chen to be living with mortals instead of cultivators. Moreover, he was repeatedly humiliated by mortals, yet he didn't get angry. His tolerance wasn't something an ordinary cultivator could compare to. There is the Tao in the wine, there is the truth in the mundane. The marketplace often hides the great Tao. Living here is very comfortable. It can make me forget about the endless slaughter for a while. Wu Chen revealed an ancient expression. It was as if he had been through countless seas of blood, and his body and mind were exhausted. It was just a look, but it gave Ning Fan a feeling of empathy. The slaughter in the cultivation world was endless. There is the Tao in the wine, there is the truth in the mundane. Ning Fan looked at the wine jar in front of him and his eyes gradually became blank. He lifted the jar and drank to his heart's content, as if he wanted to merge all the slaughter in this lifetime into the wine, swallow it and forget about it. Brother Ning has a great capacity for liquor. You're indeed my fair-weather friend. Drink, drink, drink. Ning Fan's heart gradually calmed down. It was a peace that he had never felt before. He had avenged his master, found his parents, and Ming Kei's matter had temporarily come to an end. All the grudges had been settled. He raised his head and looked out of the window, looking at the falling snow and the boundless night sky. Is it time for me to prepare for my ascension? I wonder if Brother Ning has the intention to ascend? Wu Chen asked with a smile. Oh, Brother Wu is also concerned about ascension? Ning Fan was surprised and then shook his head in a self-mocking manner. He was surprised that Wu Chen was concerned about ascension even though he had yet to attain the void refinement realm. He mocked himself because he had underestimated Wu Chen too much. Who said that spirit-severing realm cultivators couldn't consider ascension? If there are 4 days of quota, spirit-severing realm cultivators can also ascend. For example, in Suchio, Ning Fan wore a nostalgic look on his face and remained silent. Wu Chen chuckled and performed a hand seal. All of a sudden, he said to Ning Fan in a mysterious tone, "Brother Ning, do you know that there is actually an ascension passage hidden in the rain world? Even if you ascend, you won't need to be controlled by any force." There's such a passage in the rain world? How did Brother Wu know about it? Ning Fan looked at Wu Chen doubtfully. It's a secret. I also have my own secrets that I don't want others to know. Of course, if Brother Ning insists on asking me, I will tell you the truth even if it's difficult for me. No need. Let's talk about the Ascension Passage. Where is the passage and which upper world is it heading to? Ning Fan did not have the intention to probe Wu Chen's secrets. Wu Chen's divination technique was amazing. It was not surprising for him to know some secrets that ordinary people did not. Besides, Ning Fan was indebted to Wu Chen for helping him find his mother. From this point of view, Ning Fan was willing to trust Wu Chen. Wu Chen smiled without saying a word. He placed 12 empty wine cups on the table and filled them with wine. Then he performed the 12 earthly branches technique again. Rays of light suddenly flew out from the 12 empty wine cups. Wu Chen quickly took out a jade slip and kept the rays of light into it. Those rays of light were the information that Wu Chen had obtained from his divination. Meeting each other is fate. It's difficult to separate and meet each other. I'm tired of staying in the sword world. I'll leave now. Brother Ning, see you again. Take this as a parting gift. After giving the jade slip to Ning Fan, Wu Chen carried a wine jar and laughed heartily. He walked out of the tavern and soared into the sky while treading on the wind and snow. The scene shocked everyone in the tavern. Immortal Master. Lunatic Wu is actually an immortal master. The innkeeper's limbs went limp. The few customers who had mocked Wu Chen before were also terrified. They were afraid that Wu Chen would take revenge on them. Any immortal master could easily annihilate a city of mortals without even breaking a sweat. The road of killing is long. I'm drunk and wild. If 10 sides betray me, I'll overpower them. Wu Chen's loud and wild voice reverberated in the night for a long time. Ning Fan looked at Wu Chen's disappearing figure and fell into deep thought. When he scanned the jade slip in his hand with his spirit sense, his expression became strange. The passage of ascension is actually there, the Blood Slave Garden. There were 3 passages in the Rain World which could lead to the Blood Slave Garden. In the Blood Slave Garden, there was an ancient passage of ascension which could lead to the Eastern Heaven Immortal World. Even if one did not have the quota for ascension and did not become an immortal, as long as one could find that passage, they could ascend. The things in this world are really full of coincidences. I want to go to the Blood Slave Garden and coincidentally, there is an ascension passage in the Blood Slave Garden which leads to the Eastern Heaven Immortal World. Is it the Eastern Heaven? Ning Fan's expression changed. Ascending to the Eastern Heaven was not a bad choice. After all, Lightning Emperor Tai Su's hometown was in the Eastern Heaven. He had promised Tai Su that he would send a 9-revolution pill formula back to his hometown. If his cultivation base was strong enough, he would also need to help him save his hometown. The Eastern Heaven Immortal World was a good place to go. Of course, ascending to the Northern Heaven was also not a bad choice. After all, the foundation of the Black Devil sect was in the Northern Heaven. I should discuss the matter of ascension with my master and listen to his opinion. Ning Fan stood up and walked out of the tavern. With a flash, he disappeared without a trace. The sky was already turning bright. When the people in the tavern saw that Ning Fan was also an immortal master, all of them were dumbfounded. They really did not know if it was a blessing or a curse to see 2 immortal masters in a single day. Ordinary people would probably not be able to see even 1 immortal master in their entire lives. After the old devil obtained the Yin-Yang Dao seed, he began to busy himself with planting the Dao fruit. Sowing the Dao seed perfectly was not an easy task. Therefore, Ning Fan would not be able to see the old devil for the time being. During these days, he had been staying in the Ling Palace and secretly sent Su Daozi to investigate the location of the 2nd secret place of the Sword Ancestor in the Heaven Border. Su Daozi had once obtained a jade seal magic treasure by chance. From it, he found out that there was a secret place of the Sword Ancestor in the Heaven Border which contained a great fortune. That was why he came all the way to the Sword World to stand up for the Heaven Palace. He did not expect that this time, he would directly become Ning Fan's slave. Su Daozi did not know the exact location of that secret place. He only knew that it was somewhere in the northern region of the Heaven Border. Since he knew that there was a great fortune in that secret place, Ning Fan naturally would not miss it. Su Daozi sent countless experts of the Heaven Palace to investigate the whereabouts of that secret place. 1 month later, they finally found it. However, no one expected that the secret place was actually a place of great danger. When Su Daozi brought the Heavenly Sovereign and countless experts into that secret place to investigate, an unforeseen event occurred. There was actually a deadly sword formation at the periphery of the secret place which killed everyone except for Su Daozi. That sword formation was an immortal formation. Just a single formation was enough to kill or injure all the Void Refinement Realm cultivators of the Heaven Palace. Tian Yi and Yun Shui who went along with them were directly buried under the sword formation. In the Ling Palace, Ning Fan looked at Su Daozi who was kneeling on the ground with blood all over his body and listened to his report with an extremely solemn expression. Ling Huang's eyes were also solemn. Ning Fan did not hide the fact that he was looking for the 2nd secret place of the Sword Ancestor from him. The secret place was in the Sword World. Even if Ning Fan wanted to go there to search for the fortune, he was not prepared to monopolize it. After he leaves, this secret place should still belong to the Sword World and exist as the 2nd trial ground of the Sword Ancestor. An immortal grade sword formation. Just the periphery already has such a powerful formation. If we go to the inner area, Ning Fan, this secret place is too dangerous. Don't go there. Little Dugu said anxiously. When Ning Fan first sent people to search for the secret place, He told little Dugu that he wanted to bring her along to search for the fortune. The fortune in the sword ancestor's secret place was naturally more beneficial to sword cultivators. Ning Fan was not a true sword cultivator, but little Dugu was. Originally, Ning Fan wanted to use the fortune in this secret place to help little Dugu break through to the void refinement realm. Now, it seemed like he could not bring her along even if he wanted to go there. Besides, Ning Fan was feeling a little hesitant at the moment. He did not know if he should go to this secret place or not. Su Daozi only knew that there was a great fortune in this secret place. However, he did not see it with his own eyes. He only obtained the information from the magic treasures. Thus, it was hard to distinguish the truth from the lies. If the secret place was not dangerous, Ning Fan would not mind searching for it. Now that he already knew that the secret place was dangerous but he did not know what the fortune was, he would not risk his life by going to an unfamiliar forbidden place unless he was a fool. You're right. It's better if we don't go to this forbidden place. Ning Fan's words made little Dugu let out a sigh of relief. Of course, she was not willing to see Ning Fan take the risk. Ling Huang looked at the map in his hand and remained silent. His expression became more and more solemn. The location of this secret place seems to be the ruins of Xia country from millions of years ago. It is said that this secret place contains the great secret of becoming an immortal. However, it also contains great danger. All the experts of Xia country once went to this secret place. There were 17 rogue immortals who entered this secret place to search for the method of becoming an immortal. However, all of them died in this secret place overnight. Xia country was destroyed overnight. Xia country was destroyed overnight. Ning Fan's eyes suddenly flashed as if he had thought of something. Xia country was destroyed overnight in order to become an immortal. The sovereign of Xia country was none other than Emperor Xia. Ning Fan had a guess in his mind. Could it be that Emperor Xia was the only survivor among all the experts of Xia country? Xia country was destroyed because it sought to become an immortal. Was that why Emperor Xia hated becoming an immortal so much? Was that the case? The secret place of Xia country contained the great secret of becoming an immortal, but it also caused the deaths of 17 rogue immortals. This secret place must be extremely dangerous. Ning Fan shook his head. Even if it was for the secret of becoming an immortal, he did not want to enter this dangerous place. Thus, he could only give up on this trip to the secret place. The night was slightly cold. Ning Fan stood alone in the courtyard outside the house, bathing in the wind and snow. Gradually, his mind was filled with thoughts. He used the heavenly border as a betrothal gift to ask for Dugu's hand in marriage. However, he was not prepared to consummate the marriage with her at this time. The cultivation method that Dugu cultivated was called the Sword Ancestor Scripture. It was said that she obtained it by chance during one of her travels. It was not advisable for a woman who cultivated this cultivation method to destroy her primordial yin before becoming a sword immortal. Knowing this, Ning Fan naturally would not destroy Dugu's primordial yin body for a moment of desire. However, what surprised Ning Fan was that Dugu's life was just too good. Entering the Sword Ancestor's secret place to cultivate in the snow border actually allowed her to obtain the sword finger technique that was created by the Sword Ancestor. Moreover, she was able to pick up the Sword Ancestor scripture during her travels. Little Dugu's fate seemed to be extremely fated with the sword. Little friend Ning, this old man has something to tell you. Suddenly, a voice with a hint of intimacy came from behind him. Ning Fan turned around and saw Emperor Xia. He cupped his fists and greeted him. Senior Xia, please speak your mind. I heard that you have found the secret place of Xia country. Thus, I want to tell you about the destruction of Xia country. Emperor Xia's golden eyes dimmed with a hint of melancholy, as if he was recalling the scene where his country was destroyed in the past. Senior, are you here to persuade me not to go to that ominous place to seek immortals? Don't worry, Senior. I have already decided not to go to that forbidden place. Emperor Xia interrupted Ning Fan with a bitter smile. I came here to beg you to go to that forbidden place. Why? Ning Fan's eyes suddenly turned solemn. With Emperor Xia's strength and personality, he would rarely use the word beg. Since he said beg, what he wanted was certainly not a trivial matter. Even if he begged Ning Fan to enter the forbidden place, his purpose would certainly not be to seek immortals. Emperor Xia himself disdained to become an immortal. If he wanted to, he could break through the life-immortal realm and become a true immortal. However, he was unwilling to do so. As for the reason, let me tell you a story. Then you will know. Emperor Xia's face was filled with reminiscence. He began to organize the memories of millions of years ago. It was a very long memory, but it was so unforgettable. A very long time ago, there was a strong country of sword cultivators in the heavenly border of the sword world. Its name was Xia Country. Xia Country had been passed down for hundreds of generations and gradually declined. Even so, it was still the strongest force in the sword world. That year, a prince was born in the Xia kingdom. His name was Xiaoyo. He was an inborn sword cultivator. He was a genius that only appeared once in a million years in Xia Country. He took 10 years to reach the harmonious spirit realm, 40 years to reach the core formation realm, 100 years to reach the nascent soul realm, 200 years to reach the divine transformation realm, and another 200 years to reach the void refinement realm. After cultivating for another 1,000 years, he was already a rogue immortal. When the late emperor passed away, Xia Wuyo naturally inherited the position of Emperor Xia. He had a childhood sweetheart named Meng Bingyun. When he was 16 years old, the two of them became Dao companions. Meng Bingyun wasn't beautiful, but she loved Xia Wuyo very much. Xia Wuyo was proud and arrogant. He looked down on Meng Bingyun. In the end, he became obsessed with cultivation. He didn't even look at Meng Bingyun for decades. Speaking of this, Emperor Xia's eyes revealed a hint of sorrow. He closed his eyes painfully. After a long time, he continued. Xia Wuyo only spent 1,500 years to become an itinerant immortal. His aptitude was too high. He was too conceited and too eager to become an immortal. He wanted to become an immortal. He wanted to break through life and seek the truth. He believed that he had the qualifications to become an immortal emperor. However, he was too arrogant. Perhaps it was because of this arrogant heart that made it hard for him to comprehend the true meaning of life and death. That was why he couldn't take the step to become an immortal. He stopped at the itinerant immortal realm for 30,000 years. Meng Bingyun was always ignored by him. However, she didn't complain about it. She accompanied him and guided him. To be honest, although Meng Bingyun wasn't beautiful and her aptitude wasn't as good as Xia Wuyo's, she was still a genius sword cultivator that only appeared once in 100,000 years. During the 30,000 years when Xia Wuyo stopped at the itinerant immortal realm, Meng Bingyun cultivated step by step until she reached the itinerant immortal realm. She was one step ahead of Xia Wuyo and took the step to follow him through life and death. Xia Wuyo felt great humiliation and unwillingness. He boasted that his aptitude far surpassed Meng Bingyun. However, he lost to her on the path to becoming an immortal. How could he remain calm? He became even more estranged from Meng Bingyun. His desire to become an immortal intensified to the point where he almost went berserk. Until one day, a secret place was unearthed in Xia Country. It was the Sword Ancestors' secret place. It contained the great secret of becoming an immortal. When the entire Xia Country knew that the secret place contained the great secret of becoming an immortal, it caused an uproar. It was especially so for Xia Wuyo. He desired to become an immortal to the point of going crazy. Without any hesitation, he mobilized all the experts in Xia Country to search for the great secret of becoming an immortal. On the day when he was about to set off, Meng Bingyun appeared in front of him covered in blood. She told him that the secret place was very dangerous. She personally went to explore the way and almost died in there. She begged Xia Wuyo not to go. Xia Wuyo was deeply touched. He couldn't imagine that Meng Bingyun, who had always been ignored and ignored by him, would go to an unfamiliar secret place to explore the way for him. She came back covered in blood. She didn't even have time to heal her injuries. She just wanted to tell him that the secret place was dangerous and he shouldn't go. However, the temptation of becoming an immortal was too great. In the end, Xia Wuyo ignored Meng Bingyun's warning and went his own way. He brought all the experts in Xia country into the secret place. On that day, almost all the experts in Xia country died. No matter how talented Xia Wuyo was, he was still itinerant immortal after all. He should have died in the secret place. However, when he was about to die, Meng Bingyun saved him. She used her own life to save him. It was a bone-chilling sword lake. Meng Bingyun saved him, but she herself sank into the lake forever. Her final gaze was still looking at Xia Wuyo with infatuation. She softly apologized to him. "I'm sorry, Will. I can't accompany you anymore. I'm sorry." She shouldn't be the one apologizing. Become an immortal. Become an immortal. Xia Wuyo had been seeking immortality for his entire life. What did he get in the end? He didn't even know what he wanted. When he found out and understood what he wanted, he lost it forever. Emperor Xia clenched his fists tightly and closed his eyes. Murky tears flowed down his cheeks. Ning Fan remained silent. He knew that the golden-eyed sword cultivator standing in front of him was the Xia Wuyo in the story. "Lend me a hand. Follow me into the ruins." Emperor Xia suddenly opened his eyes. His eyes were filled with determination. "I don't understand. How can I help Senior with my cultivation base?" Ning Fan sighed. If Emperor Xia goes with him, any danger would no longer be dangerous. However, how could he help Emperor Xia? "Help me enter the Sword Lake. Help me see if I can still find Bingyun's remains at the bottom of the lake." Emperor Xia's eyes were filled with sorrow. "With Senior's cultivation base, you can't enter the Sword Lake by yourself?" Ning Fan was surprised. That Sword Lake is located in the deepest part of the secret land. It is said that the great secret of becoming an immortal is located at the bottom of the lake. There seems to be a strange law in the Sword Lake. Anyone can only enter the lake once in their lifetime. If they enter the lake for the second time, they will be turned into ashes by the lake water. Every time I improve my strength, I will try to enter the lake again. However, before I can enter the lake, I will be severely injured and on the verge of death. I can't go into that lake. A sword lake that can only be entered once, huh? This is my first time entering the lake. Of course, I won't be killed by the lake water. However, why is Senior so sure that I can enter the sword lake and return? Perhaps I will also sink to the bottom of the lake forever. Don't worry. Before you enter the lake, I will use all the power of my primordial spirit to help you temporarily raise your cultivation base to the life immortal realm. It will be enough for you to protect yourself. If you help me find Bingyun's remains, I can promise you one thing. Emperor Xia said resolutely. Even if I ask Senior to protect the rain world for me, will Senior be willing to do that? Ning Fan's eyes lit up. Of course. Emperor Xia's affirmative answer made Ning Fan feel a little tempted. If he has Emperor Xia's help, this secret place would not be too dangerous. If he succeeds in finding Meng Bingyun's remains, Emperor Xia would fulfill his promise and help Ning Fan protect the rain world. With Emperor Xia around, even if the sect master of the Pill sect comes here personally, only death awaits him. This favor is worth helping. Just as Ning Fan was about to answer, a lady with plum blossoms on her temples quietly walked out from outside the courtyard. Neither Ning Fan nor Emperor Xia noticed her hiding in this place. Little Devil Ning, if you insist on going to the secret place of Xia country, I will go with you. If we live, we will live together. If we die, we will die together. Duga's tone was calm as if she was saying something that was natural. Chapter 690. In the end, he decided to bring little Dugu along. With the Xia Emperor accompanying him on this trip, there would be no danger at all. Emperor Xia had entered the secret grounds of the Xia kingdom by himself countless times, and the greatest danger was only enough to kill an ordinary life immortal. To the Xia Emperor, there was no danger at all. When Ling Huang heard that Ning Fan and Dugu wanted to go to the secret place of Xia country, he naturally dissuaded them with a stern voice. However, when Emperor Xia revealed a trace of his strength in front of Emperor Ling was shocked and no longer had any doubts. Ling Huang had never known that the last emperor of Xia country had actually lived for more than 6 million years. Emperor Xia's strength was too unfathomable. With him accompanying them, Emperor Ling felt at ease. Let's go. The Xia Emperor took a single step forward, and a series of ripples appeared beneath his feet. The ripples reverberated beneath Ning Fan's and Dugu's feet. Immediately, the two of them felt as if they had merged with heaven and earth. In just a breath's time, Emperor Xia had already brought Ning Fan and Dugu from the snow border to the heaven border. What a mysterious speed! Ning Fan's eyes were filled with amazement. This is a technique known as distance contraction. Only a very small number of true immortals can comprehend it. Take this jade slip. It contains this old man's understanding of this technique. If you break through to the true immortal realm one day, you can carefully study this technique. You will definitely gain something. Emperor Xia casually tossed a jade slip to Ning Fan without even turning his head. His eyes were filled with pain as he looked at the bottomless abyss in front of him. This abyss was the entrance to the secret land of China. Ning Fan kept the jade slip. After taking a glance at it, he sighed with emotion and kept the jade slip. The jade slip recorded all of Emperor Xia's experiences in comprehending the earth-shrinking technique. However, the current Ning Fan was still unable to comprehend all of them. Looking at the bottomless abyss, little Dugu did not know why, but her heart ached slightly. She frowned and her face was slightly pale. Ning Fan grabbed little Dugu's soft hand and frowned. Little Dugu's hands are so cold. As he channeled his mana into little Dugu's body, the latter's complexion gradually improved. Don't go if you don't feel well. Ning Fan said with concern. No, I'm going. But, can you let go of my hand? Little Dugu's face turned slightly red. She wanted to pull her hand out, but her palm was held tightly by Ning Fan. This was her first time holding hands with Ning Fan's. She could clearly feel the warmth of Ning Fan's palm. The warmth and safety made her feel a little nostalgic. Just like this, I'll hold your hand and you'll follow me. After entering the secret zone, no matter what dangers there are, don't be afraid, I'm here. Even though Emperor Xia was following him, Ning Fan still maintained his full vigilance. One could not be careless at any time. Follow behind me. Don't take a single step. The Xia Emperor reminded him, then leapt into the depths of the earth. Ning Fan temporarily let go of little Dugu's palm. Little Dugu could not help but feel a little disappointed. All of a sudden, little Dugu felt her soft waist being embraced by a strong arm. Ning Fan carried little Dugu and leaped straight to the bottom of the abyss. The earth abyss was 10 million zhang deep. Emperor Xia was waiting for them at the bottom of the abyss. He let go of little Dugu's waist and held her hand again. Then, he began to study the environment at the bottom of the abyss. This was an ancient ruin. There was a man-made crystal sun in the sky, making the underground as bright as day. The soil under their feet was very soft and full of weeds. There was a fragrance of grass in the air which was mixed with a little smell of blood. It was very faint, but Ning Fan's perception towards the smell of blood was very sharp. Among the grass, collapsed ancient tablets could be seen from time to time. Each of the tablets only had 2 words written in divine seal script, abandoned sword. The words were carved with a sword. Although it was beautiful, it contained a hidden sharpness. It seemed like it was carved by a woman. It was not hard to imagine that this place was the secret zone of the sword ancestor. The words were naturally carved by the sword ancestor. However, why did the sword ancestor carve the words abandoned sword, and so many of them? Could it be that the words abandoned sword contained some profound sword theory? My sword intent was comprehended in this secret zone. Therefore, it carried a trace of the sword ancestor's sword intent. After this grassland, there will be a barren forest. That is where the immortal formation is located. The people you sent died there. As soon as Emperor Xia finished speaking, he walked forward. Ning Fan took a deep look at the ancient tablet and left with little Dugu. Little Dugu looked at the ancient tablet with a blank expression. Abandoned sword. Abandoned sword, she murmured these 2 words, and her heart ached again. She did not know why she had such a feeling. She just felt that the woman who carved the 2 words must be feeling a lot of pain in her heart. She did not know why she had such a feeling. After walking forward for 10 li, a huge barren forest appeared in front of them. In the barren forest, each of the giant trees was 100,000 zhang tall. They had withered branches and no leaves. On the ground, skeletons that had fallen for many years could be seen everywhere. There were also some newly arrived corpses. The owners of these corpses were all experts of the Heaven Palace. Ning Fan stared at each of the giant trees with a solemn expression. He could tell that one of the tens of giant trees contained a trace of the sword ancestor's sword chi, which could instantly kill a cultivator. Tens of thousands of giant trees lined up according to the formation, forming an immortal-grade sword formation with terrifying power. The reason why it was an immortal-grade sword formation was because the power of the sword chi would weaken due to the erosion of time. Of course, this formation was set up by the sword ancestor. If this formation was at its peak, any true immortal who intrudes into this formation would only face death. Ning Fan naturally would not feel sad when he saw the countless corpses of the experts of the Heaven Palace. The Heaven Palace was originally his enemy. They were just forcefully taken as slaves by him. So what if they died? When Emperor Xia saw the skeletons that had fallen for many years, his eyes were filled with sorrow and guilt. Those people were all the experts of Xia country 6 million years ago. Due to a moment of confusion, Emperor Xia had fallen here. As Ning Fan and the others went deeper into the barren forest, the sword formation on all four sides suddenly reacted. Hundreds and thousands of traces of the sword ancestor's sword chi broke out of the formation and charged at Ning Fan and the others. Without saying anything, Ning Fan pulled little Dugu behind him, looking like he was ready to attack at any time. His eyes were extremely solemn. There were at least 1,200 traces of the sword ancestor's sword chi in this place. Each of them could instantly kill a cultivator. If one is attacked by 1,200 traces of sword chi at the same time, even an ordinary life immortal realm cultivator would be severely injured. Collect! Emperor Xia made a grabbing motion and all 1,200 traces of sword chi were absorbed into his palm. He condensed his magic power and all the sword chi merged into one, forming a golden sword light. When it condensed again, the golden sword light turned into a small golden sword. This item can be used for self-defense. Emperor Xia passed the small golden sword to Ning Fan and continued advancing without saying anything else. Ning Fan received the small golden sword. When he sensed the vast sword chi contained in it, his expression changed. This small sword was condensed from sword chi. Once it is used, it could turn into 1,200 traces of the sword ancestor's sword chi and deal a heavy blow to a life immortal realm cultivator. After keeping the small golden sword, Ning Fan held little Dugu's hand and followed closely behind Emperor Xia. Emperor Xia stopped in front of the largest tree in the barren forest and pointed his finger at it. A golden light flashed. All of a sudden, the giant tree in front of him turned into ashes and dissipated. At the next moment, all the trees in the entire barren forest turned into ashes and disappeared. After doing all this, Emperor Xia raised his hand and clawed at the ground. A sword-shaped golden stone was pulled out from the ground and he gave it to little Dugu. The immortal-grade sword formation has been destroyed. This is a sword stone that was condensed from the power of the sword formation. It can greatly increase a sword cultivator's cultivation base. A piece of sword stone is enough for you to directly break through to the void glimpse stage. Little Dugu looked at Ning Fan. When she saw Ning Fan nod, she kept the sword stone. After we pass the barren forest, it will be very dangerous. Of course, the danger is only for you guys. Follow me closely. Don't leave me by even half a step. After passing through the barren forest, there were many ancient tombs. The air was filled with a gloomy mist. Within the mist, the sound of bells could be heard from afar. An extremely dangerous feeling immediately rose in Ning Fan's heart. Little Dugu, on the other hand, was absent-minded. She did not notice the danger in this place. She quietly looked at the large barren graves without saying a word. Her heart felt a slight pain again. In her mind, scenes of flesh and blood flying everywhere unconsciously appeared. It hurts. She held her head with one of her hands and bit her lips with her pearly white teeth. Her eyes were filled with pain and she almost fell. Ning Fan did not care about the strange ringing of the bells. He hurriedly held little Dugu and continuously transferred traces of magic power into her body. What's wrong? Ning Fan's face was filled with worry. It's nothing. It's just a little uncomfortable. I feel much better now. With Ning Fan's help, little Dugu's complexion gradually improved. The ringing of the bells in the surroundings was getting closer and closer. In the gloomy mist, 4 giant ghosts with 8th break realm cultivation base were carrying a huge iron palanquin that was covered with chains. They were walking towards them with dense killing intent. On the gigantic iron palanquin, there was a ghost with a green face and fangs. He was wearing a bright red robe and his cultivation base was at the rogue immortal realm. However, the strength of his physical body was comparable to a life immortal realm expert. Gradually, the 2nd, 3rd and 4th iron palanquin appeared in the thick mist. There were 4 iron palanquins, 16 giant ghosts with 8th break realm cultivation base and 4 ghosts with immortal bodies. Ning Fan's eyes widened. The 8th break realm giant ghosts were still manageable, but 4 ghosts with immortal bodies were definitely not something he could defeat. The strength of a single punch from these 4 ghosts was comparable to a strike from a life immortal realm expert. Roar! The iron palanquin landed on the ground. 16 giant ghosts with 8th break realm cultivation base strode towards them. Every step they took made the ground shake. The eyes of the 4 ghosts with immortal bodies were blank. 2 of them raised their fingers and pressed down. 2 rays of sword light shot out from their fingers and attacked Emperor Xia. The other 2 ghosts vanished without a trace. In the next moment, they appeared on the left and right of Ning Fan and little Dugu. Their ghost claws directly grabbed at Ning Fan and little Dugu. The strength of a casual grab was enough to easily tear a rogue immortal realm expert into pieces. Get lost! Emperor Xia's eyes turned cold. He shouted and his voice immediately turned into invisible sword light, slashing at the 20 ghosts. In just an instant, all 16 giant ghosts were dismembered into thousands of pieces. As for the 4 ghosts with immortal bodies, they were directly killed by the sound wave swords. Sword word technique. Ning Fan's eyes widened. He did not expect that the sword word technique really existed. It seemed like Ting Xianro was very interested in the sword word technique. If he could obtain this technique and give it to her, it would be a wonderful thing. Ning Fan then looked at the 20 ghosts that were instantly killed by Emperor Xia. As soon as they fell to the ground, they immediately turned into broken ancient swords. Their spiritual light dimmed and their sword intent dissipated. These are sword ghosts. When the sword master dies, the sword spirit dies. When the sword spirit becomes a ghost, it becomes a sword ghost. When I was young, I almost died in the hands of the sword ghosts in this place. As soon as he finished speaking, Emperor Xia took out a jade slip from his storage pouch and gave it to Ning Fan. Ning Fan took a look at the jade slip and found out that it actually recorded the cultivation method of the sword word technique. The power of the sword word technique isn't strong. However, it contains a trace of the great ability of word compliance law. The 3 great realms of the true immortal realm are Dujin, shedding void and thought-breaking realm. The 2 realms of thought's fragmentation are the speech realm and the thought realm. Words are the law enforcement realm and the Tao is born with a thought. This is the key to breaking through the thought's fragmentation realm. This technique isn't strong, but it might help you comprehend the law enforcement realm earlier. As soon as Emperor Xia finished speaking, he moved forward again. Ning Fan let out a soft sigh. Along the way, Emperor Xia had been continuously giving him opportunities. All he wanted was for his help. After keeping the jade slip, Ning Fan held Dugu's hand and followed behind Emperor Xia. Inwardly, he had already made up his mind to help Emperor Xia find Meng Bingyun's remains. Each of the traps and formations was easily broken by Emperor Xia. Each of the powerful sword ghosts was destroyed by Emperor Xia's finger. He had been to this place many times. Ever since Meng Bingyun passed away, he had forced his way into the forbidden place time and time again. In the beginning, his cultivation base was insufficient and he was no match for the sword ghosts. Every time he came, he would return in failure. Later on, he thoroughly comprehended life and death and became strong enough to fight against the sword ghosts. However, he could no longer enter the sword lake. 6 million years had passed and his strength was already comparable to a true immortal realm expert. He could easily kill some living beings and undead things in this place, but he could not enter the sword lake. The lake water seemed to be mocking him. Once you lose something, you can never get it back. We're here. After crossing a tall mountain, there was a calm lake behind it. The lake was surrounded by a circle of strange stones. Each of the stones had an ancient sword inserted into them. The lake water was rippling and entering the lake. It seemed ordinary, but Ning Fan sensed a trace of danger from it. Ning Fan's eyes flashed. He casually picked up a fallen leaf from the ground and threw it into the lake. The fallen leaf sank into the lake and turned into ice. Even a fallen leaf can't float. Ning Fan frowned. With his minor 5 elements physique, it was not difficult for him to defend against the ice power of the lake. However, with his current cultivation base, if he enters the lake, he would probably sink forever like a fallen leaf and would never be able to float to the surface again. Perhaps only Life Immortal Realm experts could move freely in this lake. Of course, every Life Immortal Realm expert only had one chance to enter the lake. If the rules of the lake did not allow them to enter the lake for the second time, they would certainly die. This is the Sword Lake, also known as the Heart-Seeking Sword Lake. It is said that the water of this lake can reflect the reflection of one's previous life. However, that reflection can only be seen by oneself. Others can't see it. As soon as Emperor Xia finished speaking, Ning Fan and Little Dugu approached the lake curiously and lowered their heads to look at the reflection in the lake. Ning Fan's reflection in the lake was a butterfly. However, it was not just one but hundreds and thousands of butterflies. He had reincarnated countless times and each of his lives was a butterfly. He used the life of a butterfly to exchange for the life of a human in this life. Can you see your previous life? Ning Fan shifted his gaze and looked at Little Dugu. At this moment, Little Dugu was looking at the reflection in the lake and tears kept flowing down her cheeks. What did she see? Ning Fan did not know. Only Little Dugu knew. Don't cry. I'm here. Ning Fan did not know what Little Dugu saw, but he did not ask. He just hugged Little Dugu's slightly trembling body tightly in his arms, trying to warm her heart with his body heat. Little Devil Ning, you were a butterfly in your previous life, right? Little Dugu asked in a low voice. Yes. I abandoned my sword and gave up my life of slaughter in exchange for reuniting with you in this life. It's worth it. She did not say much but said something that Ning Fan could not understand. Although he could not understand it, Ning Fan's heart was touched for no reason. He faintly felt that he owed Little Dugu too much. What did you see? Ning Fan asked in a tender tone. Don't ask, never know. Little Dugu raised her tear-stained smiling face. Ning Fan wanted to use the mind-reading technique to see what Little Dugu saw. He owed Little Dugu in his previous life, right? He wanted to see it clearly. Unfortunately, there was an exceedingly powerful force inside Dugu's body that was protecting her, causing him to be unable to see through her thoughts. Don't ask, never know. That's good. Little Dugu reached out her hand and gently stroked the contours of Ning Fan's face with gratitude and satisfaction. This was the first time she took the initiative to touch Ning Fan. There seemed to be something else in her eyes. It was nostalgia. Ning Fan felt a sudden pain in his heart and hugged Little Dugu tightly in his arms. Damn it! What did this woman see? Why did she cry? There was no answer. If she did not say it, she would not say it for the rest of her life. Perhaps Ning Fan could only find the answer himself. Perhaps he would not find it in his entire life. Cough cough. Emperor Xia coughed awkwardly. He was still here and this young couple was hugging each other. How could they forget themselves? Little Dugu blushed and wiped her tears on Ning Fan's chest without caring about her image. She gently pushed Ning Fan away and tidied her hair. It's time for you to help Senior Xia. You're right, madam. Your husband has forgotten that I still have important matters to attend to. Ning Fan teased. Looking at Little Dugu's angry expression, his heart gradually calmed down. He would naturally know the answer when his cultivation base was strong enough in the future. The mysteries of samsara encompassed all living beings. Naturally, he could peek into the past and present lives. Senior, are you going to transfer the power of your primordial spirit to me now? Ning Fan asked. With his cultivation base, it was easy for him to enter the Sword Lake, but it was impossible for him to get out. Only when Emperor Xia used all his strength to help him temporarily attain the life-immortal realm would he have the confidence to go back and forth. All right. I will draw out the power of my primordial spirit and lend it to you temporarily. Come closer. Emperor Xia raised his hand and pointed at the top of Ning Fan's head. He closed his eyes and transferred the power of his primordial spirit into Ning Fan's body. His qi rapidly weakened. Even though he was still a rogue immortal, he was not as strong as before. On the other hand, Ning Fan's qi continued to rise. 7th heavenly layer of the void fragmentation realm, 8th heavenly layer, 9th heavenly layer. Peak life immortal realm. Life immortal realm was divided into human profound ghost realm and profound ghost realm. Ning Fan's current cultivation base was an early human profound life immortal realm. Feeling the vast magic power in his body, Ning Fan's eyes flashed, but he was not too shocked. He was also able to control the magic power in his body that had skyrocketed without any discomfort. He had temporarily possessed the magic power of an immortal emperor, so a life immortal was naturally not worth mentioning. Oh, little friend, you can actually control the magic power of a life immortal realm expert so easily? Emperor Xia's face was as pale as a piece of paper. His eyes were slightly shocked. Ning Fan's capabilities were much greater than what he had expected. Currently, Emperor Xia had lent all the power of his primordial spirit to Ning Fan. His body was extremely weak. Perhaps even an 8-break realm cultivator might not be able to defeat him. Ning Fan sighed. He turned around and walked towards the Sword Lake. Just as he was about to jump into the lake, little Dugu pulled his arm. Bring me with you. Listen to me. The Sword Lake is extremely dangerous. If anything goes wrong. Before Ning Fan could finish his words, he was interrupted by Dugu Jirun. Trust me. I will be fine. I can even help you. Trust me. Trust me. I can come and go freely in this Sword Lake. I can protect you, trust me. Trust me. Ning Fan remained silent for a while. Then he held little Dugu's arm and jumped into the lake. He had decided to trust her. If she is really in danger, he would protect her even if he has to risk his life. Chapter 691. Wisps of sword chi flowed in the bone-chilling lake water. Ning Fan hugged little Dugu tightly in his arms and carefully protected her. At this moment, he temporarily possessed the cultivation of a life immortal, so he was naturally not afraid of these sword energies. If it was the old him, even if he used his full strength, he would still be injured by the sword chi in the lake. Gradually, Ning Fan discovered that little Dugu seemed to be innately unafraid of the sword chi here. With her around, the sword chi that wanted to attack Ning Fan retreated one by one, not daring to attack. Ning Fan lowered his head. He noticed that the face of the little girl in his arms was pale. Her eyes were flashing with sword light. She seemed to be using some kind of secret technique to restrain the sword chi in this place. He could not help but feel a great sense of pity in his heart. He gently kissed little Dugu's forehead and said gently, "Rest, I will protect you." Little Dugu responded softly and dispersed the sword gleam in her eyes. She could also tell that Ning Fan, who was at the life immortal realm, was not afraid of the sword chi of the Sword Lake at all. That's good. As she nestled in Ning Fan's embrace, even the cold lake water felt warm. She looked at Ning Fan with an incomparably precious gaze, as if she was looking at a precious treasure that she would risk her life to protect. She didn't dare to show such a bold gaze in the past, but after seeing the reflection in the lake, she didn't avoid it anymore. 1,000,000 feet, 1,000,000 feet, 10,000,000 feet. He did not know how deep he had dived. The coldness of this place was already enough to hurt him who had a life immortal realm cultivation base. Just as he was worried that the person in his arms would not be able to endure the coldness of this place, He realized that her cheeks were rosy and her eyes were closed. She snuggled in his arms and actually fell asleep comfortably. This little girl, isn't she afraid of the sword chi and cold chi here at all? Ning Fan chuckled and shook his head. He was most worried about little Dugu. Since little Dugu was fine, he was naturally not afraid of the cold. Every strand of Ning Fan's hair and glabella turned into ice. Even his blood felt like it was about to freeze. Just as he was about to lose the cold, he finally saw the bottom of the lake. In the thick layer of sand, there were more than a dozen zombies that had frozen into ice. They were dressed in the clothes of the ancient Xia kingdom, and they should be the experts who had followed Emperor Xia into this place. Ning Fan's eyes swept across the crowd. None of them were women. Although he didn't know what Meng Bingyun looked like, she should at least be a woman. Her corpse wasn't here? Speaking of which, it was said that the secret to becoming an immortal was hidden at the bottom of the lake. Where was the secret to becoming an immortal? Ning Fan carried little Dugu, who was sleeping soundly, and leaped forward to search the bottom of the lake. After a long time, he found a crystal palace in a coral reef. This palace was equipped with a waterproof formation, and there were 2 stone statues of heavenly sword-wielding gods standing outside the palace gate. When Ning Fan tried to approach the palace, the 2 stone statues suddenly shone. They turned into 2 half-step life immortal realm heavenly deities wielding swords. Their empty eyes stared at Ning Fan. At the next moment, they charged at him. Destroy! Ning Fan just casually lifted one of his fingers and pointed at them. Relying on his powerful cultivation base, he killed the 2 heavenly deities without using any of his abilities. After the 2 Empyrean gods died, they turned into 4 sword-wielding Empyrean gods. Ning Fan raised his finger and destroyed them. After the 4 heavenly deities wielding swords died, they turned into 8 people. Ning Fan knitted his brows. The more he killed, the more heavenly deities holding swords appeared. What a strange ability! If they continue killing like this, thousands of heavenly deities would appear. Even if Ning Fan had a life immortal realm cultivation base, he would still die in the encirclement of a group of rogue immortals. Void Vortex. With a point of his finger, a massive illusory vortex appeared at the bottom of the lake, sucking all the shadows of the heavenly deities into the vortex. Gradually, the energy of the shadows of the heavenly deities was depleted and they turned into green smoke, dispersing. As for Ning Fan, he calmly carried little Dugu and walked into the Crystal Palace. Where is this place? Little Dugu woke up and gently jumped out of Ning Fan's arms. However, Ning Fan held her hand again. I don't know. Follow me closely and be careful. Ning Fan pulled little Dugu closer to him. After all, this was an unfamiliar place. Now that Emperor Xia was not with him, Ning Fan had to protect little Dugu alone. Thus, he needed to be more cautious. There were coral decorations, crystal tables and chairs, gold and jade utensils. There were many empty sword scabbards hanging on the walls. There were also some portraits of mountains and rivers. Occasionally, there were portraits of people. All of them were powerful immortals who could fly in the sky and travel through the earth. They were all extremely terrifying figures who could destroy a world with a lift of their fingers. Along the way, Ning Fan noticed that the layout of this place was very similar to a lady's boudoir. He could not help but speculate that this might be the boudoir of the sword ancestor. Even though there were heavenly deities guarding the outside of the Crystal Palace, there was no danger within the palace. This was slightly out of Ning Fan's expectation. Along the way, Ning Fan noticed that there was actually a room that was tightly shut. Inside the room, there was a dense sword chi. Other than that, there was actually a trace of extremely weak chi of a living person. There was actually a living person in this place. Ning Fan's vigilance instantly rose to the peak. His spirit sense penetrated the door and spread into the room. As soon as he saw the scene in the room, he was stunned at first. Then he fell silent. Who is it? An extremely weak female voice came from inside. Senior, are you Meng Bingyun? Ning Fan asked indifferently. How do you know who you are? The lady looked like she would die at any time. I was entrusted by Xia Wuyo to look for Meng Bingyun's remains. However, I didn't expect that Meng Bingyun is still alive. However, isn't living like this more painful than dying? Ning Fan closed his eyes and let out a long sigh. A gust of sword wind blew past and the door of the room slowly opened. Dugu Qing's cold eyes looked into the room. At the next moment, she also fell into silence. Inside the room, there was a mysterious sword formation. The flying swords used in the sword formation were the swords of the Crystal Palace. The empty scabbards that Ning Fan saw earlier had already been taken away by someone to set up the sword formation. A lady sat cross-legged at the center of the sword formation. Her body was so illusory. She was just a trace of her remnant soul. The sword light in the sword formation would pierce her illusory remnant soul every once in a while. That pain naturally didn't need to be described. That lady was Meng Bingyun. She was not beautiful, but her eyes were more stubborn than most men. The sword formation that she set up was called Death-Suppressing Formation. This formation was an immortal sword formation. It required a large number of immortal swords to suppress the souls of the dead, preventing them from entering the cycle of reincarnation. However, the remnant soul of the dead would have to bear the pain of 10,000 swords piercing their hearts every day. They would lose their physical body, their cultivation base, and everything else. In the end, only a trace of their remnant soul would be left in this world. You said that you were entrusted by Wu Yu. He is still alive. Is he? Is he well? Meng Bingyun's eyes glistened with tears. She had waited for 6 million years, but she had never cried. She had to bear the pain of 10,000 swords piercing her heart every day. However, when she suddenly heard about the news of her beloved, she could not help but shed tears. He is at the bank of the Sword Lake. A person can only enter this lake once. The second time he enters, he will definitely die. He couldn't come in. He tried for 6 million years, but to no avail. He had always wanted to find your remains and asked me to enter the Sword Lake. However, he didn't expect that you are still alive. If he knows about it. Just as Ning Fan's voice fell, Meng Bingyun suddenly begged. Don't let him know. Don't let him know that I'm living in this way. If he knows about it, he will feel sad, guilty, and blame himself. I don't want him to blame himself. I'm content knowing that he is still alive. I'm content knowing that he finally has a shadow of me in his heart. You should leave now. Tell him that he can't find Meng Bingyun's remains. Make him forget about me. What if I insist on bringing Senior away and let you meet Senior Xia? Ning Fan asked indifferently. I would rather die than meet him. When you bring me out of the sword formation, I will certainly die. Meng Bingyun closed her eyes sorrowfully. It was not that she did not want to meet him. She just did not want him to feel sad and blame himself. She did not want him to see her in her worst state. Ning Fan remained silent. He had promised Emperor Xia that he would bring Meng Bingyun's remains back. Now that Meng Bingyun was still alive, he naturally had to bring her back. However, Meng Bingyun insisted on not returning. If he forces her, she would seek death. Ning Fan felt troubled. He shook his head and felt that women's thoughts were really complicated. Didn't Meng Bingyun suffer for 6 million years just to see Emperor Xia? She could obviously meet him now, but why didn't she? Little Devil Ning, can you leave for a while? I will help you persuade her. Little Dugu looked at Ning Fan seriously. Her eyes seemed to be saying 3 words. Trust me. Ning Fan was stunned. After thinking for a while, he felt that perhaps it was more suitable for a woman to persuade another woman. Alright, I heard that the great secret of ascension to immortality is hidden at the bottom of the Sword Lake. It is most likely in this Crystal Palace. I will go and search again to see if there is any great secret of ascension to immortality. Ning Fan squeezed Little Dugu's soft palm and smiled. Then he turned around and left. Little Dugu walked into the room and looked at Meng Bingyun with sympathy and tenderness. Can I call you Big Sister Meng? Ning Fan did not eavesdrop on their conversation. Since he had chosen to believe in Little Dugu, he would continue to believe in her. After walking around the Crystal Palace 3 times, Ning Fan still could not find any great secret of ascension to immortality hidden in this palace. Not to mention that there was no great secret of ascension to immortality. There was not even a single pill or Dao crystal. Originally, there were some immortal swords hanging on the walls. However, Meng Bingyun had already arranged them into a sword formation. Thus, there was no fortune in this palace anymore. The rumor of the great secret of ascension to immortality is really just a rumor. Shaking his head, Ning Fan stood outside a bedroom. It was the bedroom of the sword ancestor. He did not immediately go to find little Dugu. This bedroom was only 100 steps away from the room where little Dugu was. Ning Fan decided to wait for little Dugu here. He sat beside the crystal table and played with the empty wine cup on the table. His eyes swept around the bedroom. On the wall, there was also an empty scabbard. The immortal sword was most likely taken away by Meng Bingyun. Other than that, there was also a painting hanging on the wall. It was the portrait of the back of a lady in white robes. She was a very gentle lady. Her long black hair was fluttering in the wind. One of her hands was gently pressing her temples. The side of her face that was slightly revealed seemed to be wearing a smile. However, it was hard to see clearly. That figure looked a little familiar. He seemed to have seen it somewhere before. That's right. It's the back of the sword ancestor. Ning Fan had seen the back of the sword ancestor several times. Each time, he would slaughter the heavens and step on the white bones under his feet. All the gods and devils in this world are ants. If I break my sword, there will be no martial arts in this world. He still remembered the cold and domineering words of the sword ancestor regarding all the gods and devils in this world as ants. He did not expect that such a cold and indifferent lady would also smile. Such a gentle figure did not look like someone who had killed all the gods and devils at all. Wait. Ning Fan suddenly rose to his feet and looked at the painting in disbelief. There was actually a butterfly in the painting. The sword ancestor was smiling at the butterfly. The moment he saw the butterfly, Ning Fan's mind went blank. After a long time, his eyes gradually became clear. That butterfly seems to be from one of my previous lives. Did I see the sword ancestor in my previous life? Ning Fan remained silent. He walked closer and took down the painting. He held it in front of him and studied it carefully. Gradually, Ning Fan's mind could not help but sink into the painting. In a valley with dense flowers and plants, a lady in white robes was sitting on the ground, hugging her knees. Her face could not be seen clearly, but the smile on the corner of her mouth could be clearly seen. She gently raised her hand and reached out to tease a butterfly in front of her. Then she said with a faint smile, "Little butterfly, why do you want to go to the outer realm gate? Do you really want to go to the Zido immortal region? I have been guarding the gate for so many years. I have seen all kinds of intruders and killed all of them. You are the only one who surprised me. You are so weak. It's impossible for you to pass through the gate." The butterfly fluttered in the air. It seemed to be a little impatient and did not want to talk to this talkative lady. "You have quite a temper. If I didn't show mercy to you, you would have died even if you are an immortal emperor. Do you know that you are the first person in my life that I can't kill? No, it's the butterfly. If the immortal sovereign Huang Gu finds out about this, I'm afraid that he will punish me." There were 10 black suns in the sky. This place was not the Zido immortal region. Ning Fan opened his eyes. His eyes were filled with great astonishment. He kept the ancient painting and his heart could not calm down for a long time. Even though he did not find any great secret of becoming an immortal in the Crystal Palace, he learned something even more shocking. The sword ancestor was not from the Zido immortal region. The sword ancestor came from another immortal region. The immortal sovereign of that immortal region was called Huang Gu. Could that immortal region be called Huang Gu Immortal Region? Ning Fan's eyes turned slightly gloomy. It seems like the butterfly also came from the Zido Immortal Region. Is the butterfly also from the outer region? Ning Fan came from the outer region. Little devil Ning, let's go. Sister Meng has agreed to go with us. While Ning Fan was deep in thought, little Dugu and Meng Bingyun slowly walked into the room. Ning Fan's brows relaxed and he shook his head in a self-deprecating manner. Be it the Zido Immortal Region or the Huanggu Immortal Region, these questions were not things that he should consider. Just like what immortal sovereign Zido had said in the tribulation of life and death, There were some things that he should not know now. These questions were too far away. The only thing he wanted to know now was the relationship between him and the sword ancestor in his previous life. However, it seemed like he could never find the answer to this question. Madam, have you really convinced Senior Meng? I am ashamed of my inferiority to you. Ning Fan imitated the manner of a scholar and made a deep bow to Little Dugu. Little Dugu's face turned red from his words. You're not serious at all. Little Dugu let out a soft snort. Her eyes were filled with happiness. You don't need to know what I said to Sister Meng. Just bring us away from the Sword Lake now. Alright. However, I have to trouble Senior Meng to stay in the Yuan Yao world for a while. Your remnant soul is weak and it cannot be corroded by the cold qi. Ning Fan stroked the Yuan Yao jade. After getting Meng Bingyun's consent, he kept it in the Yuan Yao world. Then he held Little Dugu's slender waist and turned into a ray of light, heading straight to the Sword Lake. There was also a time limit for lending the power of primordial spirit. Ning Fan's cultivation base was slowly falling back to the 6th break realm. He must return before his cultivation base completely falls. On the shore of the lake, Emperor Xia stared at the surface of the lake blankly. While recovering his magic power, he was recalling the past. Whenever he thought of the woman who loved him deeply, his heart ached. However, he could only close his eyes and let out a long sigh. I hope that little friend Ning can find Bingyun's remains. If he can't, sigh. Emperor Xia's expression was bitter. Humans are despicable. They don't cherish what they have when they have it and they regret it when they lose it. If he listened to Bingyun and did not go to the secret place to explore, if he had given that woman some love, unfortunately, there are no ifs in this world. She has already passed away. A ray of light broke through the surface of the lake. It was Ning Fan and Little Dugu. As soon as Ning Fan returned, Emperor Xia, who was sitting cross-legged to meditate, suddenly stood up. His golden eyes were filled with nervousness. Little friend Ning, I wonder if you have found Bingyun's remains. Emperor Xia clenched his fists tightly and his wrinkled face was tense. He had never been so nervous in the past 6 million years. Before Ning Fan could speak, Little Dugu stepped forward with light steps and said indifferently, There are no remains of elder sister Meng at the bottom of the Sword Lake. No remains, huh? Hee. Emperor Xia wanted to smile calmly, but he was unable to do so at all. His body, which was originally weak, suddenly coughed out blood under the great sorrow. Madam? Ning Fan was speechless. Is Little Dugu purposely making Emperor Xia anxious? Little Dugu winked at Ning Fan, hinting him not to speak. She was here to fight for justice for Meng Bingyun. Meng Bingyun treated Emperor Xia so well, but she had always been neglected. Only when Meng Bingyun died did Emperor Xia come to his senses. Meng Bingyun herself was reluctant to let Emperor Xia cough out blood. As for Little Dugu, now that she and Meng Bingyun were good sisters, she naturally had to fight for justice for her sister. So what if Emperor Xia coughed out a few mouthfuls of blood? Serves him right. Little Dugu turned her head to look at Ning Fan and nodded with satisfaction. She thought to herself, my man is still the best. He is not obsessed with cultivation and abandons his wife. As she thought about it, Little Dugu felt that Ning Fan was really a strange person. Which of the young men in other families was not full of fighting spirit to break through to the immortal path? They were either shouting slogans to go against the heavens and slay immortals, or they thought that they were the number one under the heavens. My man had no interest in becoming an immortal from the very beginning. He seemed to know what I want from the very beginning. Emperor Xia had lived for 6 million years before he understood it. My man had just started cultivating and he understood this principle. He cherished his family and loved ones very much. Men are indeed the best in my family. Little friend Ning, I want to be alone for a while. You guys can rest here for a while. When my magic power recovers, I will send you back to the snow border. As for what I promised you, I will certainly fulfill it. After that, I will make a jade tablet that can transmit voice across realms and give it to you. If the rain world is in trouble in the future, you can inform me at any time. If I fly with all my might, I can reach the rain world in 10 breaths at most. I will certainly slaughter all the enemies who come to your world for you. As soon as he finished speaking, Emperor Xia turned around and walked away step by step. Little Dugu had enough of fighting for justice. She then called out to Emperor Xia indifferently. If Senior Xia wants some peace and quiet, why don't you and Sister Meng have some peace and quiet together? Two people? Sister Meng? Just now, Emperor Xia's heart was in a mess and he did not notice anything wrong with the way Little Dugu addressed him. Now that he heard Little Dugu's words, he was stunned. Why did she call Bingyun Sister Meng? She knows Bingyun? What does she mean by having some peace and quiet together with Bingyun? Could it be that they have found Bingyun's remains? Just as he was thinking about that, Ning Fan gently stroked Yuan Yaoyu. Then, he held Little Dugu in his arms and flew to the other side of the Sword Lake. Then, he said to Emperor Xia, Xia, Senior Meng, we will wait for you at the other side of the Sword Lake. Light flashed and a blue-robed woman slowly appeared. She was not a beautiful woman, but Emperor Xia was mesmerized by her the moment he saw her. Bibing. Why? Emperor Xia rubbed his eyes in disbelief. He was sure that he did not see wrongly. The person standing in front of him was definitely Meng Bingyun. There was no mistaking her chi. However, Meng Bingyun was only left with a remnant soul. On her remnant soul, there were countless sword scars. The death-suppressing formation. The name of this formation instantly emerged in Emperor Xia's mind. All of a sudden, it was as if a dagger had pierced into his heart. He held Meng Bingyun in his arms in extreme agony. How much pain has she gone through for the past 6 million years? I'm the one who harmed her. I'm the one who let her down. From today onwards, no one is allowed to take her away from me. Will, this is the first time you've hugged me. Meng Bingyun quietly nestled in Emperor Xia's arms and revealed a blissful expression. All of a sudden, she felt a little grateful towards Little Dugu. If it wasn't for that little girl's persuasion, perhaps she would never be able to enjoy this moment of happiness. Chapter 692. At the bank of the Sword Lake, Little Dugu hugged her knees and sat on the soft grass. She smiled faintly while playing with a stalk of grass in front of her. Ning Fan sat beside her and quietly looked at her side profile. The smile that came from the bottom of her heart made him feel lost. That smile really resembled the smile of the sword ancestor in the ancient painting. How could there be such a coincidence? Ning Fan smiled and shook his head. He reached out his hand and stroked Dugu's waterfall-like black hair. Today, Dugu did not resist Ning Fan's action of getting close to her. Instead, she took the initiative to lean her body against Ning Fan. The faint virgin fragrance entered Ning Fan's nostrils, causing him to hold his breath. He could not help but put his hand on Little Dugu's soft waist. He could feel her softness through her thin shirt. His hand slowly moved upwards and slightly touched Dugu's soft and erect body. Dugu did not have any reaction. She just let out a light breathing sound. She fell asleep again. Ning Fan's affection faded slightly. He retracted his perverted hand and shook his head with a smile. He knew that Dugu must have trusted him a lot. That was why she could sleep in his arms without any worries. Moreover, she slept with him twice. Let's sleep. Ning Fan played with Dugu's black hair and recalled the scenes when he met her. He was not a good person after all. Therefore, he could protect her. A good person could not protect anything in this chaotic world. However, if it could make her happy, Ning Fan was willing to be a good person in her eyes for the time being. Perhaps from a certain point of view, I am also a good person. That was what Ning Fan thought. The people of the world had their own standards for judging good and bad. Suddenly, Ning Fan found his own standards. What is a good person? Well, it's a woman and a son. In this chaotic world, a person who is reluctant to leave his wife and son is a good person. Ning Fan quickly forgot about this question. He was not interested in the judgment of good and bad people. He had his own standards. Everyone thought that with Ning Fan's ferocious personality, he would certainly start a massacre in the 9 worlds once he had the qualifications to sweep across the 9 worlds. They did not understand Ning Fan. They did not know what he wanted. Ning Fan was not interested in ruling the 9 worlds at all. He did not like killing, fighting, and all the disputes in the cultivation world. He had already told the Rain Emperor that he was not interested in the Rain world, But the Rain Emperor did not believe him. His ambition was to surpass the four heavens, because only by reaching the four heavens could he become even more powerful. Only then can I protect the warmth behind me. After a long time, Emperor Xia and Meng Bingyun came to look for them. Meng Bingyun's complexion was much better. Her remnant soul had completely stabilized, while the Xia Emperor's complexion was ashen. Needless to say, the Xia Emperor must have paid an enormous price to stabilize Meng Bingyun's remnant soul. Given the Xia Emperor's abilities, even if he couldn't bring Meng Bingyun back to life, he could at least stay with her forever. Sister Meng. Little Dugu woke up just in time. She stood up and smiled at Meng Bingyun. Meng Bingyun looked at little Dugu emotionally and smiled intimately. Little Sister Dugu, thank you, thank you. Dugu naturally knew what Meng Bingyun was thanking him for. While the two ladies were getting intimate with each other, Emperor Xia looked at Ning Fan gratefully, not knowing what to say. After a long while, he suddenly cupped his fists towards Ning Fan solemnly. His face was filled with gratitude, but he did not say a single word. The Xia Emperor understood this principle very well. Emperor Xia sent Ning Fan and Dugu back to the snow border. Then he returned to the heaven border and stayed with Meng Bingyun at the old site of Xia country. Before he left, Emperor Xia gave Ning Fan more than 10 jade tokens that could transmit voice across realms. Any sound-transmitting jade tablet could send a message to the Xia Emperor in the lower realms, regardless of distance. If Emperor Xia received the message, he would immediately appear in the Rain world and destroy the invading enemies. With Emperor Xia around, even if Ning Fan ascends to immortality, the Rain world would not have any hidden dangers. It was indeed the right choice to go to the secret land of China. Time flowed like water. A year had passed. Ning Fan stayed in the Sword World for 1 year. Accompanying little Dugu day and night was quite a pleasant thing. It was a very quiet life, far away from killing, far away from cultivation. He waited here for the old monster, who was still sowing the seeds of Tao. A year later, the old monster finally appeared in the Ice Snow Sword City. The old devil had created a small Kiliacosm treasure, and that acre of Tao land was inside the small Kiliacosm. After spending an entire year, the old monster was finally able to perfectly plant the Tao seed. Although he still had to wait for a few hundred years for the Tao seed to blossom and bear fruit, the old monster was still in a good mood. He went to see little Mei, who was sleeping soundly. On his way back, he was humming an inexplicable tune. You are my little Tao fruit. No matter how much I plant you, I won't complain, he returned home complacently. When the old monster saw Ning Fan, he was stunned at first, then quickly shut his mouth and put on a stern look. After a year, the old monster's cultivation base had already recovered to the peak of life immortal realm. If he wanted to recover to the true immortal realm, it would still take a few hundred years. He sealed his cultivation base, leaving only the loose immortal realm. Otherwise, he wouldn't be able to stay in the lower realms. There was a law in the 9 worlds that forbade the existence of life immortal realm cultivators. Master seems to be in a good mood. Has the Tao seed been planted? Ning Fan asked with a smile. Yes, it's planted. In another 300 years, no, 200 years, little Mei will wake up. My spear is already unbearably thirsty. The old monster laughed wretchedly. Ning Fan was instantly speechless. What kind of shit is this old monster's head filled with? He painstakingly saved his beloved wife just to satisfy his lust? Of course, Ning Fan wouldn't take the old monster's crazy words seriously. If the old monster was really a lustful person, with his cultivation base, what kind of woman can't he snatch? Ning Fan had a deep understanding of this point. Those who looked wanton and unrestrained on the surface were usually people who were true to their emotions. Little Ning, do you have something to say? The old monster's expression suddenly became serious. He could see that Ning Fan was waiting for him because he had something important to discuss. Ning Fan nodded and told the old monster about the ascension passage of the Rain world. Then he asked, Master, if I ascend, should I go to the northern heaven or the eastern heaven? Of course, you should go to the eastern heaven. The old monster's answer surprised Ning Fan. 3 reasons. The old monster stretched out 3 fingers and said solemnly, "The first reason is that there are no restrictions on your freedom when you ascend from the eastern heaven. If you ascend to the northern heaven, you must accept the quota of the Lost World Palace and serve the Lost World Palace." Damn. Why should my disciple serve the Lost World Palace? Since you found a free passage to ascend to the eastern heaven, you must go to the eastern heaven. If you want to go to the northern heaven after going to the eastern heaven, you can just use the eastern heaven gate to go to the northern heaven. It's just a matter of spending some Tao crystals. Of course, you can also choose to cultivate to the immortal realm and break the void to ascend. This is the second reason. The spiritual chi in the lower world is sparse and cultivation resources are scarce. Even though you are at the 6th break realm now, it's impossible for you to cultivate to the life immortal realm in the lower world without at least 1,000 years. Remember, these 1,000 years include all the methods you used to speed up your cultivation. Since you found a free passage to ascend, why don't you ascend? Go to the 4 heavens and then become an immortal. If you don't have any cultivation resources, you can just rob them. With your ability, you can probably become an immortal in a few hundred years. The third reason. Someone in the eastern heaven owes me money. He owes me 1 billion Tao crystals. Go and get them back for me. Damn it. I've always been the one who owes people money. Since when is it their turn to owe me money? The old devil's face turned red with anger. He took out a wrinkled yellow receipt and threw it to Ning Fan. Ning Fan was speechless. He felt that the reason why the old devil wanted him to ascend to the eastern heaven was because of this third reason. The other 2 reasons were nonsense. He looked at the receipt in his hand and kept it. The person who wrote the receipt was named Wei Wuji. Ning Fan naturally did not know this person and he did not take it to heart either. Ning Fan thought about it carefully. Actually, what the old devil said made a lot of sense. If he could ascend from the eastern heaven for free, why wouldn't he go? If he wants to go to the northern heaven in the future, wouldn't he just need to teleport there? He would just have to spend a little more money on traveling, but he did not need to be controlled by others. However, if he uses the passage to ascend from the eastern heaven through the blood slave garden, wouldn't it mean that his days in the lower world were already very few? If he wants to, he could go back to the rain world to search for the entrance to the blood slave garden and the passage to ascend. He could leave the 9 worlds right now. However, he did not know when he would be able to come back. Would it be more suitable for him to stay in the rain world for another 10 years to accompany his ladies? Have you decided? As a man, if you want to ascend, you should ascend to the eastern heaven. Do you understand? There are many wars in the eastern heaven. That's a battlefield for men. You should know that the thing I regret the most in my life is that I was born in the northern heaven instead of the eastern heaven. What a damn pity. In order to collect his debt, the old devil really threw away all his moral integrity. He made it seem like Ning Fan was not a man if he does not ascend to the eastern heaven. Isn't it just 1 billion Tao crystals? I never knew that Master is so greedy for what you have. Ning Fan said speechlessly. Nonsense. Am I that kind of greedy person? Would I force me to ascend to the eastern heaven just for 1 billion Tao crystals? Am I that shameless? The old devil snorted coldly, showing an expression of disdain towards money. Ning Fan was speechless. He was too lazy to argue with the old devil anymore. He said indifferently, "All right, I have decided to ascend to the eastern heaven. 3 days later, I will leave the sword world. My good disciple, remember to collect your debt from Old Man Wei after you ascend to the eastern heaven." How dare you owe me money? The old devil's old face turned into a chrysanthemum flower. After thinking for a while, he took out a jade slip from his storage pouch and passed it to Ning Fan. Ning Fan's eyes flickered when he saw the contents of the slip. The jade slip recorded the follow-up cultivation method of the Black Demon art, a secret technique and a divine ability. The name of the secret technique was Returning Fire Immortal Cultivation Technique. When breaking through the bottleneck of the life immortal realm, one's chance of becoming an immortal could be increased by about 5% if one's fire returned to spirit. However, the prerequisite for using this secret technique was to cultivate the Black Demon art to the peak of the 7th level. The divine ability was a mid-grade immortal technique. Its power was close to that of a high-grade immortal technique. It was called Black Demon Escape. This was a type of immortal technique. Even a life immortal realm expert could only use it a few times. As for Ningfan, he could only use it once at most with his broken 6th realm cultivation base. The Black Demon Escape could teleport him 10 billion li. Using it once was enough to exhaust all of Ningfan's magical power. This was the old devil's special life-saving technique. After robbing someone's belongings, being chased by a group of life immortals, teleporting 10 billion li and disappearing without a trace. Without this technique, how would the old devil dare to rob them? This technique contained a trace of the profound meaning of shrinking the earth into inches. If he could learn this technique, his chances of comprehending it in the future would be very high. Putting away the jade slip, Ningfan looked at the old monster and suddenly knelt down. The old monster's nose suddenly turned sour. He didn't avoid this kneel and sighed. After ascending, take good care of yourself. I'll be in the sword world. If there's any trouble in the rain world, I'll rush over with 8 ground shrinking. Don't worry. Go! The old monster turned his back on Ningfan. Ningfan stood up and stared at the old monster's back for a long time before turning around to leave. Perhaps to Ningfan's, the old monster was more like a father. The first time he felt warmth was in 7 Apricot City, given by the old monster and Jiha. 3 days later, Ningfan left the sword world. The old devil did not send him off. Little Dugu stood alone in the wind and snow, quietly watching Ningfan step into the realm gate. From today onwards, she would be called Ning Dugu. The women of the sword world had no father's surname, only their husband's surname. Watching Ningfan leave, she felt a little stifled in her heart. She knew that Ningfan had ascended to the eastern heaven this time and there would be no news of him ever again. She knew why Ningfan did not want to bring her along to ascend. There were still strong enemies in eastern heaven. Ningfan might not be able to return alive. Why were Ningfan's women rarely jealous? It was because they did not know if Ningfan could live to the day when he was invincible in the world. They did not know if he could create a peaceful world where they would not have to worry about being in a precarious situation. It was not that they did not care. It was just that no one knew when they would die. This was the cultivation world, a world without any sense of security. The moment he stepped into the realm gate, Ningfan suddenly turned his head and looked at Dugu deeply without saying a word. Suddenly, there was a sprout of an ideal that was growing in his heart. Perhaps he could learn from immortal Emperor Zido and create a great world where there was no conflict so that the woman he loved could live a carefree life. Wait for me, he said indifferently. Dugu nodded silently. What she did not know was that Ningfan was not waiting for her return but for something else. He was waiting for a peaceful world. Before returning to the rain world, Ningfan went to the demon world and the tree world. He had left a sound-transmitting jade tablet for Palace Origin and Lu Haoyue as well. If Palace Yuan and Palace Lu were in trouble, they could also ask Emperor Xia for help. After all, Emperor Xia only needed a few breaths to travel to a realm. It was extremely fast. For a true immortal, the 9 worlds were just their own backyard, and they could reach it in just a few steps. When Ningfan finally returned to the rain world, Hongyi had already brought her people back to the Endless Sea. She stayed in Yu Country because she wanted to protect Ningfan's family. Now that Ningfan had countless slaves, he did not need her protection at all. Then, Su Daozi returned to the rain world. The dignified leader of the 3 great rogue immortals in the heaven immortal world had become Ningfan's slave. This matter shocked the 9 worlds. Almost everyone was afraid of Ningfan's devil name. Apart from the old Yuan emperor, Su Daozi was almost the strongest person in the 9 worlds. However, he was captured alive by Ningfan and turned into a slave. No one dared to go against Ningfan anymore. Those who went against Ningfan were either killed or taken as slaves. Their fates were miserable. After Tai Wu paid a huge price, Mu Luo stopped turning into a tree and regained his mobility. Yu Huang's remnant soul was also stabilized and freed from the Kesluo Bamboo Sea. When Mu Luo appeared in Yu Country with his rogue demon cultivation base, the 9 worlds shook again. The rain world had another rogue demon. After a deep conversation, Ning Fan passed the mental seal of Su Daozi, Lu Xiu and the other experts to Mu Luo. Even the mental seal of Big Head was passed to him. With Mu Luo, Su Daozi and Big Head, the three rogue immortals guarding the Rain World, no one in the 9 worlds would dare to offend the Rain World even if Ning Fan ascends to the immortal world. With Emperor Xia's presence, there was no need to worry about the people from the upper worlds. In this way, the Rain World could finally be at peace. In this way, Ning Fan could ascend to the immortal world with peace of mind. He left nearly 70 million Dao crystals in Yu country. With these Dao crystals, the old monsters who were stuck at the first level of destruction in the Rain World could continuously break through to the second and third level of destruction. Of course, not everyone was qualified to use these Dao crystals. At least, the sons of the Rain Sovereign were not qualified. Only a small number of people could use it. All the useless pills, magic treasures and cultivation methods that he had were left behind. Ning Fan stood in the snowy 7 Apricot City, recalling the past and muttering to himself. Ascension. He was not in a hurry to ascend to the immortal world in the next few years. Throughout these years, he owed his women too much. He wanted to stay behind temporarily to accompany them. He did not have the intention to bring his women along with him. It was safer to stay in the lower worlds. It was too dangerous to follow him. Ning Fan was a person who loved to take risks. If he dies, the women that he brought along with him would also die with him. Many people dreamed of ascending to the 4 heavens. However, Ning Fan knew that the 4 heavens was not a paradise. The battles there would only be more and the enemies there would only be more terrifying. Little cucumber, I want to go back to the Divine Space Island. A lady walked to Ning Fan's back casually. All right. I will send you back. Ning Fan smiled and held Yu Lingkong in his arms. Circles of fire ripples slowly appeared beneath his feet. As he took a step forward, he seemed to have become one with the entire heaven and earth. His magic power disappeared rapidly and was depleted in an instant. As for him, he traveled across 10 billion li in an instant and appeared at the ruins of the Divine Space Island in the Endless Sea. Little cucumber, what kind of ability is this? It's so abnormal. You actually reached the Divine Space Island in a single step. Yu Lingkong was so surprised that she could not close her mouth. Ning Fan's face was pale. Inwardly, however, he was extremely satisfied with this black devil escape. With just a single step, his magic power was depleted, but he managed to travel a distance of 10 billion li. If he is really chased by any life immortal realm beings, he would disappear with just a single step. There was nothing for him to be afraid of. Do you want to learn? Ning Fan teased. Ning Fan casually flicked his sleeves. In an instant, a magnificent palace was built in the ruins of the Divine Space Island. He placed Yu Lingkong on the bed and kissed her slowly. Yu Lingkong was enraged. She actually got sneak attacked by Little Cucumber. What the hell is this? She turned around and pressed Ning Fan under her body. Then, she began to peel off Ning Fan's clothes like peeling an egg. Ha! I've been waiting for this day. Little Cucumber, you can tremble to your heart's content. Tonight, I will also fuck you until you want to die. I'll let you know how powerful I am. Chapter 693. Yu Lingkong was done tormenting Ning Fan. She was about to die. She pushed Ning Fan away and went to sleep at the side. What a strange woman. Looking at her carefree manner, Ning Fan could not help but recall the scene when he bought her during the Pleasure Devil Islands auction in the past. Coercion, enticement, plucking, and finally borrowing her strength to increase his cultivation base. She was originally just a human cauldron, a partner, but unknowingly, she had left a place in his heart. Little Cucumber, let's fight for another 300 rounds. I won't lose to you. In her sleep, Yu Lingkong giggled foolishly. Her saliva had even wet the pillow. One had to admit that her sleeping posture was really bad. However, this scene made Ning Fan feel warm. It has been many years since we last got along well. Is she already at the Void Pier stage? It seemed like her comprehension was already enough for her to break through to the Grand Void Realm. She just needed some help. Ning Fan took out a Void Fragmentation Realm Dao fruit and swallowed it. However, he did not refine it. He carefully hugged Yu Lingkong, then his clone once again submerged into that extremely muddy and warm place. Traces of the Void Fragmentation Realm's Dao fruit's power were transmitted to Yu Lingkong through the joint. Ning Fan was helping Yu Lingkong to refine the Void Fragmentation Realm Dao fruit. Given his cultivation base, the speed of his refinement was naturally extremely fast, saving Yu Lingkong a lot of time. It's so hot, so hot. The power of the Dao fruit flowed into Yu Lingkong's body, causing her delicate body to heat up. Ning Fan bent down and gently kissed Yu Lingkong. Then, he swallowed an absolute void pill into his mouth. His palms moved all over her body, helping her refine the power of the Dao fruit. Her magic power was slowly increasing. Yu Lingkong, who was in a daze, let out a soft moan. Unknowingly, the bottleneck of the absolute void stage was broken through by Ning Fan's ferocious charge. Yes, the drowsy Yu Lingkong instinctively catered to Ning Fan. When the great void tribulation cloud appeared, Ning Fan raised his hand and extinguished the heavenly tribulation, not giving it a chance to make any noise. How could his night of pleasure be interrupted by the damned heavenly tribulation? The next day, when Yu Lingkong woke up, she discovered in disbelief that she had actually broken through to the grand virtual realm. When he looked at his lower body, it was red and swollen, riddled with scars. His body was covered in red marks. It was too ambiguous. How could Yu Lingkong not understand that all of these were done by Ning Fan? Despicable. Taking advantage of this old lady's sleep, you actually dared to launch a night attack. And to make it so intense, there was no joy of breaking through to the next realm. Instead, there was only the humiliation of being ambushed by Ning Fan. Fuck. She was obviously the one who took the initiative, but Ning Fan actually turned the tables on her. Damn it. After I ascend, are you going to return to Yu country or stay on the Divine Space Island? Ning Fan asked with a smile. His lecherous hand reached out to Yu Lingkong's tender thigh and gently caressed it. I want to stay on the Divine Space Island. I want to rebuild the Divine Space Island. She began to pant softly. For a moment, she forgot to condemn Ning Fan. Thinking about it, she didn't seem to have suffered a great loss, so she decided not to denounce him. That's fine. You can keep this jade tablet. If there's a problem, you can send a voice transmission to the other end of the jade tablet. A senior with the surname Xia will come to your rescue. By the way, if you want to rebuild the Divine Space Island, I'll leave some manpower for you. After the two of them changed their clothes, they walked side by side out of the island. Ning Fan shook his cauldron ring and summoned Hua Yu and the other female members of the Light Feather clan. They're all your women? I really can't tell. That little cucumber is so powerful. He has captured so many beautiful women. Yu Lingkong looked at Ning Fan disdainfully. Her tone actually carried a hint of jealousy. They aren't my human cauldrons, but they have some connections. They are members of the Light Feather clan that I saved from the demon world. After explaining with a smile, Ning Fan left Hua Yu and the others on the Divine Space Island. The Rain World had already been pacified. With Emperor Xia around, the women he loved would not be in danger wherever they want to go. This was the advantage of not ascending. If he ascends, he would probably be confined in the cauldron ring again, guarding an empty room. I don't believe that they aren't your human cauldrons. Look at them. Each of their eyes is filled with love when they look at you. However, it seems like their primordial Een is still there. You really didn't do anything to them. Even though she said that she did not believe it, deep down she did. Yu Lingkong raised her eyebrows. Her mood became much better. Even though she knew that Ning Fan practiced a dual cultivation method and had no choice but to pluck human cauldrons, she really did not like it. No woman would like Ning Fan to have too many human cauldrons. Forget it. I'll rebuild the Divine Space Island with this group of women as the foundation. Since Little Cucumber isn't in the Rain World, I can do whatever I want in the Internal Sea again. I can be a carefree and happy female devil lord. Yu Lingkong delightedly fantasized about her wonderful life without Ning Fan. While she was panicking, she also felt a little frustrated. Without Little Cucumber, who would she find to satisfy her lust? Damn it! She was not a casual person. Without Little Cucumber, she would die of suffocation. You Air, what do you think about that piece of land? The soil there is very fertile. Ning Fan seemed to have seen through Yu Lingkong's thoughts and pointed at a piece of land with fertile soil in the distance. The soil is indeed very fertile. Yu Lingkong nodded her head. We can plant a few acres of cucumbers. Let's build a frame and plant them. That way, the cucumbers will be straight and it'll be easier to do things. If we plant them in the ground, they will be more curved. However, maybe you like them a little more curved? Ning Fan teased her with a serious expression while looking at her ambiguously. Planting cucumbers? Yu Lingkong nodded her head. Suddenly, she realized the hidden meaning of Ning Fan's words. She stared at Ning Fan with extreme shame and indignation. Get lost. I won't use cucumbers to humiliate myself. I have hands. Hua Yu and the other female members of the Light Feather clan were stunned. They had yet to figure out the current situation. They did not know why Ning Fan asked them to join the Divine Space Island. However, it seemed like the Yu Lingkong in front of them was the island lord. However, isn't this island lord a little too tough? How could he say such shameful words so casually? His women are indeed not ordinary people. Hua Yu looked at Ning Fan and thought to herself speechlessly. After staying on the Divine Space Island for 3 months, Ning Fan went to the Internal Sea along the way. The Giant Devil Clan, the Six-Winged Clan, the Suppressed Mist Horn Clan, the Destroyed Ghost Eye Clan. Pill Island, Sword Island, Dong Su Island. In the past, he was the strongest devil in the Internal Sea. Today, however, he was the Lord of the Rain World. After meeting the leader of the Giant Devil Clan, Old Ancestor Dong Su, Venerated Pill and the others, Ning Fan went to the Zhou clan of the Internal Sea to meet Hong Yi. On the Bu Zhou Island in the Internal Sea, a few cultivators of the Zhou clan were patrolling outside the island. All of a sudden, a man in white robes walked towards them as if he was taking a stroll in a courtyard. His pace was not fast, but his speed was way too terrifying. In the blink of an eye, he had already appeared in front of everyone from a faraway place. Isn't he a divine transformation realm old monster? They vaguely felt that Ning Fan looked familiar, but they could not recall that the person in front of them was the Devil Lord of the Internal Sea in the past. Is Hong Yi here? Ning Fan asked indifferently. It was a very simple question, but it made the expressions of the few cultivators of the Zhou clan change drastically. Hong Yi was the name of the Thunder Sovereign of the Zhou clan. This time, when Hong Yi returned to the Internal Sea, she no longer concealed her identity as a woman. She announced herself to the world with the name Hong Yi. However, who in the world would dare to call the Thunder Sovereign by her name and call her Hong Yi? The few cultivators of the Zhou clan immediately showed expressions of anger. In their opinion, even if Ning Fan was a divine transformation realm cultivator, he was not worthy to call the Thunder Sovereign by her name. The leader of the few cultivators immediately took out a spiritual arrow and shot it into the sky to sound the alarm. Then, a large number of cultivators of the Zhou clan rushed to Ning Fan from Never Zhou Island and surrounded him. There was even a Void Refinement Realm Elder who was approaching Ning Fan step by step. However, what was strange was that the Void Refinement Realm Elder was extremely respectful towards Ning Fan while the cultivators of the Zhou clan were staring at Ning Fan with hostility. Don't be rude. This person is Master's honored guest. He is the Evil Cloud Rain Sovereign. That Void Refinement Realm Elder was the third elder of the Zhou clan, Zhouchen. In the past, his memories were destroyed by Ning Fan's memory-severing Dao sword and the knot in his heart was resolved. Today, his cultivation base had already reached the Origin Returning Realm and breaking through to the Void Fragmentation Realm was just around the corner. As soon as they heard the third elder's words, the expressions of all the cultivators of the Zhou clan changed. Evil Cloud Rain Sovereign. He is actually the Evil Cloud Rain Sovereign. A wave of cold air rushed from the soles of their feet to their heads. Everyone wore a respectful expression. How could they not know about the prestige of the evil Cloud Rain Sovereign? Even a supreme being like Su Daozi had been taken in as a servant by the evil Cloud Rain Sovereign. The nefarious Cloud Rain Sovereign's contributions couldn't go unnoticed, as he was able to turn the weakest rain world into the strongest of the 9 realms. When they thought of how they had been eyeing Ning Fan covetously just now, many of them were filled with fear. I want to meet Hong Yi. Ning Fan cupped his fists towards Zhou Qin. He, Master has instructed that if the Rain Emperor comes, he can directly head to the Extreme Thunder Palace to meet him, Zhou Qin said respectfully. The current Ning Fan was no longer comparable to him. Thus, he naturally had to treat him with respect. Got it? Ning Fan took a step forward and his figure vanished into thin air before everyone's eyes. No one could clearly see where he went. Seeing that Ning Fan did not hold them accountable, all the cultivators of the Zhou clan heaved a sigh of relief. Zhou Qin revealed a bitter smile. Master seems to have really fallen in love with the Rain Sovereign. Apart from Master, no one else can enter the Supreme Thunder Palace. But she let the Rain Sovereign enter. In the Supreme Thunder Palace, Hong Yi was completely naked. Her body was soaking in a huge bath as she cultivated with her eyes closed. When Ning Fan stepped into the Extreme Lightning Palace, he saw such an alluring scene. Why did you come to find me? Hong Yi asked indifferently without even opening her eyes. I found an extremely secretive ascension passage and I'm about to head to the Eastern Heaven Immortal World. That's why I came to see you and tell you about that passage. Perhaps you will need it one day. As soon as Ning Fan finished speaking, he took out a jade slip and placed it on the edge of the bath. Hong Yi opened her eyes and stared at Ning Fan quietly with her blood-red eyes. For a moment, she was actually speechless. After a long time, she stood up with her body dripping wet. She was not afraid that Ning Fan would see her naked body as she walked towards him step by step. After walking out of the bath, she walked towards Ning Fan with graceful steps. Her fair and tender body was covered with water vapor. It made Ning Fan smile faintly. He had already tasted Hong Yi's body countless times during the life and death tribulations. The taste was really good. Is she going to throw herself into my arms? I'm sorry to disappoint you. I have no interest in you at all. I'm also not interested in ascending to the Eastern Heaven. If I want to ascend, I want to go to the Ancient Devil's Abyss. Hong Yi looked at Ning Fan teasingly. Why would she throw herself into his arms? She did not have much interest in that jade slip. However, this jade slip was sent by him from thousands of li to her. With that thought in mind, she kept the jade slip in her hand. With a wave of her hand, the clothes at the side automatically draped over her body. Does my body look good? Hong Yi looked at Ning Fan teasingly. She had also asked Ning Fan this question in the past. At that time, how would Ning Fan dare to answer her? But now, you look good. I won't get tired of looking at you 100 times. The current Ning Fan had the guts to tease Hong Yi. This time, Hong Yi did not get angry. She also did not ask Ning Fan to watch his eyes. She was actually very satisfied with Ning Fan's answer. If you dare to say that I don't look good, I will certainly dig your eyes out. Even though her tone was cold, her blood-red eyes revealed a rare hint of a smile that went straight to the bottom of her eyes. She had once split her consciousness into 10,000 parts. One of them was his demon companion. He helped her resurrect and took revenge for her. In the midst of the life and death tribulations, he also had sex with her. If I ascend to the ancient devil's abyss one day and become a devil lord, would you be interested in becoming my empress? Hong Yi asked teasingly. Ning Fan let out a few dry coughs. He was speechless. He had the potential to be a gigolo. Why did everyone want him to be their empress? However, he believed that if Hong Yi ascends to the ancient devil's abyss, she would have the ability to become a devil lord. She was originally an extremely capable person. If she was not harmed by the Rain Sovereign in the past, she would probably have ascended to the immortal abyss a long time ago. From this perspective, shouldn't Ning Fan thank the Rain Sovereign for harming Hong Yi, which allowed him to meet her? I can't let this idea go. I have to forget. You're not willing. Hong Yi's blood-red eyes instantly turned cold. She had taken a fancy to him, but he actually dared to turn her down. "If I were to be your queen, would I be able to sleep with you?" Ning Fan asked in return. He held Hong Yi's wrist with one hand and used his other hand to knock the robe that was draped over her shoulder. Then he held her wet and slender waist. "How dare you be rude to me? Get lost." Hong Yi's cultivation base was obviously higher than Ning Fan's. However, when she was held by Ning Fan, her body actually felt numb and she could not exert any strength. Feeling Ning Fan's hand fondling her buttocks, Hong Yi panted softly. Her blood-red eyes gradually became blurry, but she said in a low voice, "Recently, I'm breaking through a small bottleneck. I shouldn't lose too much primordial red." Is she begging me with a soft voice? Even the dignified Thunder Sovereign Bu Zhou would have such a moment of begging. Ning Fan could naturally see that Hong Yi was about to break through her bottleneck. He was just teasing her and had no intention of doing anything to her. "Don't worry. I won't break your primordial red." However, Ning Fan's hands were roaming all over Hong Yi's body. He had no intention of letting her go at all. After fondling her for a long time, Ning Fan finally let go of her. At this moment, Hong Yi's face was flushed and her body was already wet. "It feels good. Get lost." Hong Yi uttered a single word coldly as if she was asking him to leave. However, her blood-red eyes were filled with embarrassment and anger. She was actually touched by him all over. Damn it. "All right. Let's get lost over there." Ning Fan purposely twisted Hong Yi's words. He carried her horizontally and carried her to the side of the bed of the Extreme Lightning Palace. Even though he could not have her for the time being, how could Ning Fan reject her request to have sex with him? He placed Hong Yi flat on the bed. She randomly picked up a pillow and threw it at Ning Fan. However, Ning Fan easily dodged it. The dignified Thunder Sovereign Bu Zhou actually used a pillow to hit someone without using magic techniques. Has he really fallen in love? "Don't worry. I won't break your primordial red tonight. Didn't you say that I'm your empress? Then I'll serve you well." Ning Fan took off his outer clothes and pulled down the curtains. Then he flipped onto the bed and pinned Hong Yi down. Before Hong Yi could finish her words, Ning Fan had already sealed her red lips with his. One of Ning Fan's hands roamed all over her body while his other hand went to the ravine and played with the mud. "How dare you! How dare you!" Her soft curses eventually turned into soft moans. Hong Yi closed her eyes. She felt like she was surrounded by clouds and mist. She did not know what to do. She let Ning Fan fondle her and did not resist in the end. On the next day, Hong Yi woke up feeling extremely refreshed. She realized that she was in Ning Fan's arms and both of them were naked. She was annoyed at first, but soon after, she revealed a teasing smile. "You're awake? Is it comfortable?" Ning Fan teased. "You're indeed my empress. Your technique is top-notch. I'm very satisfied. You can continue tonight." "Empress?" Ning Fan's face immediately darkened. Yesterday, he called himself the Empress just to tease Hong Yi. He really did not like this title. Seeing Ning Fan's dark expression, Hong Yi instantly felt much better. She decided that from today onwards, she would call Ning Fan Empress every day and night to anger him to death. In another 2 months, it's almost time for me to go into seclusion to break through a minor bottleneck. I'll play for another 2 months and then chase this stinky man away. Just as she was thinking about that, Hong Yi could not help but let out a moan all of a sudden. It turned out that Ning Fan's hand had reached into a place where it should not be. "Empress, I don't have the mood to do this kind of thing with you now. Stop it now." "As long as I'm in the mood." Ning Fan smiled meaningfully. "Calling me the Empress, huh? You have to pay a price for it. There are no more updates. Everyone can sleep early now." Chapter 694. 2 months later, Hong Yi went into seclusion again and chased Ning Fan away. Ning Fan used the Black Devil escape and returned to Yu Country. That night, he rested in his room to recover his magical power. Deep into the night, the faint sound of a zither could be heard from the Sea Fan Palace. Ning Fan was slightly proficient in music. He could vaguely hear a hint of homesickness in the zither music. Under the moonlight, Ning Fan pushed the door open and followed the sound of the zither. In a snow pavilion in the side courtyard, Su Qiuling, dressed in a light robe, was playing the zither with her eyes closed. Sensing Ning Fan's arrival, Su Qiuling unconsciously opened her eyes. She stopped playing the zither and said with a faint smile, "Big brother, why have you come?" "I came to see you. Are you homesick?" Ning Fan sighed softly. Back then, he hadn't been powerful enough, and he was worried that Su Qiuling and the others would not be safe in the boundless sea and that they might be harmed by the Rain Emperor. Thus, he had brought them all back to the U-Nation. After all these years, the Rain world had been pacified. Su Qiuling must have missed her family in the Endless Sea. Also, Feng Shuyan probably misses the giant devil clan as well. What about Su Yao? Does she miss the outer seas? What about Yalan? Would she miss the Lost World Palace too? What about Baisu? Would she miss Gusu as well? "I'm a little homesick." But before Su Qiuling could finish her words, Ning Fan had already carried her up gently. "If you miss home, you can go back. In today's Rain Immortal world, you won't be in danger no matter where you go. Of course, you must bring this sound transmission jade tablet with you." Ning Fan had already taken Emperor Xia as his personal bodyguard without any restraint. He took out a voice transmission jade token and passed it to Su Qiuling. Then, he told her about the sound transmission jade tablet. Su Qiuling lowered her head, and her black hair covered her eyes, making it impossible to see her expression. Suddenly, a teardrop fell on Ning Fan's arm. "Why are you crying?" Ning Fan held his breath and hugged Su Qiuling tightly. "Why are you crying?" he asked gently. Su Qiuling did not say much. She just stretched out her arms and hugged Ning Fan's neck tightly, unwilling to let go. Reluctance, reluctance, reluctance. Needless to say, Ning Fan already knew that Su Qiuling was reluctant to part with Ning Fan. She was reluctant to see him ascend. She was reluctant to part with him in a grand parting that would last for thousands of years. He was not afraid of waiting for a mere 1,000 years. Instead, he was afraid that he might not be able to return once he leaves. Would he die? Would he die? Was he afraid that he would die fighting in the four heavens and be buried in a foreign land? As for someone as weak as her, she couldn't even go to the four heavens to look for her deceased husband's remains, right? "I won't die." Ning Fan's words were filled with unswerving determination. This was a promise. Although Su Qiuling did not say anything, he knew all of her worries. Some people didn't need words to understand each other. "If you die, I will hate you for the rest of my life. No, forever and ever. And don't cry. Tomorrow, I'll bring you back to the external endless sea to Gusu. We'll bring Su Yao and the others along. Shuyan too." Ning Fan helped Su Qiuling wipe away her tears. His actions were unusually gentle. "There's no need for Shuyan. When you weren't here, the patriarch of the giant devil clan had already come to you country to see her. He wanted to invite her back, but she wasn't willing to go back. She just wants to hang out with Ji He and the others, this little girl." Ning Fan was speechless. Feng Shuyan and the other little girls don't cultivate or work. They just eat, drink, play, fight grass, throw pots, and fly kites every day. They really don't have the awareness of being a cultivator. However, wasn't this what Ning Fan was looking forward to? To let their hands not be stained with blood and let them live leisurely like ordinary women. How good would it be if the women he loved could live such a carefree life? A world where there were no conflicts. "Teach me how to play the zither." Ning Fan suddenly smiled and said, "When I miss home, I will play a song in the four heavens to listen to the accent of my hometown." "All right." Su Qiuling gently broke free from Ning Fan's embrace and sat down again. She closed her eyes and calmed herself down. Then, she played a song on the zither. The song she played was the song of the Yu people. It was the accent of Yu country. Accompanied by the melodious sound of the zither, her voice was clear like the sounds of nature. She would only sing for Ning Fan alone in her life. "What night is it today?" "I'm on a boat in the middle of the river." "What day is it today?" "I'm on the same boat with the prince." I'm humiliated and happy. I'm not ashamed. My heart is troubled, but it doesn't stop. I know the prince. There are trees in the mountains and branches in the trees. My heart pleases the prince, but he doesn't know. There are trees in the mountains and branches in the trees. My heart pleases the prince, but he doesn't know. Fortunately, he understood all of her feelings. He understood all of them. Fortunately, she finally met him again in this life. In that life, she was the flower and he was the butterfly. The butterfly would not stay for the flower, but the flower would wait for the butterfly. In this life, he was her husband and she was her wife. I only hope that your heart is like mine and I won't let you down. May you have a bright future and be invulnerable to all your enemies. May you and I meet again in the rain world. Su Qiuling returned to Gusu. Gusu was located at the shore of the Pleasure Devil Sea. She could see her father and relatives anytime. It had been dozens of years since they parted from Gusu. One generation of mortals had been replaced by another generation. Only some elderly people still remembered the bloody massacre that Gusu had experienced in the past. Children did not know who Ning Fan was. However, the old mansion was still preserved. The Green Jade Immortal Island was moved back to the external Endless Sea by Ning Fan. Su Yao and the women of the Green Jade Immortal Island could also live in Gusu from now on. Yalan was already an early nascent soul realm cultivator. She did not return to the Lost World Palace but stayed in Gusu. Bai Su always prepared the dishes and wine for Ning Fan. She had never done anything out of line. Everything was said without saying anything. Ning Fan stayed in Gusu for 3 months and practiced the zither every day. He had already mastered the essence of the Song of the Yu people. Su Qiuling and Ning Fan played together with the zither every day. This kind of ordinary life was what she longed for. By the way, big brother, is little Stone doing well? Su Qiuling asked with a smile. Every time Bai Su came, she would bring some dishes and wine, just like in the past. She looked at Ning Fan. Every time she wanted to say something, she hesitated. In the end, she only said some words that had nothing to do with romance. Su Qiuling was a person with a clear mind. How could she not know that Bai Su wanted to ask Ning Fan if her son was doing well? Little Stone is doing very well now. Besides, he seems to be getting married soon. Ning Fan said with a smile. What? My son is going to get married soon. Bai Su's face was filled with longing. Big brother, why don't you bring sister Bai Su to see little Stone? How can there be a child whose parents are not present when they get married? Su Qiuling winked playfully. Bai Su's face instantly turned red. Parents? She was naturally little Stone's mother. As for Ning Fan, could he be considered as little Stone's father? Ning Fan looked at Su Qiuling, not knowing whether to laugh or cry. He naturally understood the meaning behind her words. He had never had a son in his entire life. Now, he actually got a son for free, but Ning Fan looked at Bai Su who was beside him and sighed softly. He was the one who taught little Stone the Tao of Sword. Hence, he could be considered as little Stone's master. A master was like a father and a disciple was like a son. Since little Stone was getting married, he should pay a visit. Young Master Ning, if you're not willing to go, you can tell me where little Stone is. I can go by myself. Bai Su's current cultivation base was already at the peak gold core realm. She already had some strength to protect herself when she roamed the world. There's no need. I also want to see how much that child has grown. Without giving Bai Su a chance to object, Ning Fan wrapped his arm around her slender waist. Then, his figure flashed and they disappeared. Zhongshan Country, a coastal country in the outer sea. Zhongshan Country was a low-ranked cultivation country. Most of the people in the country were sword cultivators. There were 2 major sword sects in charge of the country. One was the Golden Light Sword sect and the other was the Sad Cloud Sword sect. Both of them had late gold core old ancestors. The Green Sword sect was a declining sword sect in Zhongshan Country. Its sect master was only a late harmonious spirit cultivator. Today, the Green Sword sect was holding a grand wedding banquet. The daughter of the sect master was married to the disciple with the highest aptitude in the sect, Shi Ming. Speaking of Shi Ming, everyone in the Green Sword sect sighed in admiration. This person was originally a swordsman from a mortal country. However, with just one sword, he defeated countless swordsmen from a mortal country. He even defeated many vein-opening sword cultivators. After he became invincible in the mortal world, he stepped into Zhongshan country and began to challenge cultivators. With the body of a mortal, he became invincible below the harmonious spirit realm. This shocked the entire country. Countless sword sects offered him an olive branch, but he chose to join the Green Sword sect. As for the reason, it was naturally because he fell in love with the daughter of the sect master of the Green Sword sect, Feng Qing'er. Feng Qing'er was also an outstanding female swordsman in Zhongshan country. She admired Shi Ming very much. The two of them fell in love with each other. The sect master of the Green Sword sect naturally would not stop this heaven-sent marriage. Moreover, this Shi Ming's cultivation speed was really terrifying. He had only joined the sect for 10 years, but he had already succeeded in the harmonious spirit realm. With an early harmonious spirit realm cultivation, he was invincible below the gold core realm in Zhongshan country. Feng Qing'er has found a good husband. This old man has found a good son-in-law. After this old man's 100 years, the Green Sword sect will no longer have to worry. The sect master of the Green Sword sect was sitting in the main seat of the wedding hall. Looking at the loving couple below, he felt very gratified. Most of the guests below were fellow Taoists from the various last-flowing sword sects. Seeing Shi Ming and Feng Xing's beauty, they all offered words of congratulations. At this moment, a few discordant voices suddenly echoed in the night sky of the Green Sword Mountain. 3 months ago, Shi Ming killed an elder of my sect. He must give this old man an explanation. This Feng Qing'er is a good cauldron. Shi Ming belongs to your Golden Light Sword sect, and Feng Qing'er belongs to my Sorrow Cloud Sword sect. Several gold core old monsters' aura pressed down fiercely. The entire Green Sword Mountain immediately exclaimed, "What? That's the Golden Light Ancestor and the Sorrow Cloud Ancestor. They don't come with good intentions, I heard that Shi Ming killed an early gold core elder of the Golden Light Sword sect 3 months ago. I didn't expect it to be true. Disaster! Disaster!" The two great ancestors of Zhongshan country appeared at the same time. Our Green Sword sect is facing a great disaster today. The Green Sword sect master walked out of the wedding hall with an ashen face. He was very clear about what happened 3 months ago. An early gold core elder of the Golden Light Sword sect wanted to abduct his daughter and pluck her. However, he was severely injured and killed by Shi Ming. It was because he saw Shi Ming's deep affection for his daughter that the Green Sword sect master was even more willing to marry his daughter to him. The Golden Light Sword sect was powerful. Even though his daughter was almost humiliated, the Green Sword sect master didn't dare to go to the Golden Light Sword sect to demand an explanation. Unexpectedly, the side that was obviously in the wrong still dared to demand an explanation from the Green Sword sect. This was too much. However, the Green Sword sect master also understood that this was the way of the cultivation world. There was no such thing as reason. If the opponent's fist was bigger, then they were in the right. Gritting his teeth, the Green Sword sect master cupped his fists at the few old monsters who were standing in the air. "Today is my daughter's wedding day. I hope everyone can give this old man face." Before he could finish, the Golden Light Ancestor who was standing in the night sky already harumphed coldly. A vast magical power immediately hit the Green Sword sect master's chest, causing him to vomit blood and retreat. "Face? You are merely a late harmonious spirit expert. Do you think you are worthy of this old man giving face? Quickly hand Shi Ming over, or else this old man will slaughter the entire Green Sword sect today." Golden Light Ancestor sneered. Feng Qing'er is an excellent cauldron. You can't kill her too. She is already in this old man's bag. Old Ancestor Sorrow Cloud smiled evilly. "Of course. Fellow Taoist Sorrow Cloud, rest assured. After this matter is over, this old man will wash this girl clean and send her to your residence." Golden Light Ancestor said lightly. "Father, Feng Qing lifted the red silk on her head and rushed out of the wedding hall to support her father. Her eyes were filled with anger as she glared at the few old monsters who were standing in the sky. Shi Ming walked out of the wedding hall quietly. He didn't even look at the Green Sword Sect master, but his face was terrifyingly cold. No one knew that Shi Ming's cold expression at this moment was very similar to the great devil Zhou Ming who ran amok in the external endless sea. He was Little Rock. His surname was Shi, and his given name was Ming. That Ming character was Zhou Ming's Ming. He was the person he admired the most in his life. He was the person his mother liked. He was the person who taught him the sword Dao. A teacher for a day, a father for life. On the day Gusu was dyed with blood, it was the great devil Zhou who showed Shi Ming the true meaning of power. It had nothing to do with cultivation or the sword Dao. It was just a belief, a persistence that couldn't be erased even if he died 100 times. He might not be a match for Golden Light Ancestor and the others, but it was impossible for them to destroy his sect and take his wife. Shi Ming is here. Those who want to take my life, fight me. Shi Ming took a step forward. A weak sword intent suddenly appeared around his body. Although the sword intent was weak, it shocked everyone present. An early harmonious spirit cultivator had comprehended the sword intent that only spirit-severing sword cultivators could comprehend. Looking at Shi Ming's cold and sharp eyes, Golden Light Ancestor suddenly felt restless. This kid must not be allowed to live. The reason why he wanted to kill Shi Ming before was because of the death of a gold core cultivator in his sect. But now, he just wanted to get rid of future troubles. Shi Ming's aptitude made him feel fear. With my order, Golden Light Ancestor, the Green Sword Sect must be annihilated today, and Shi Ming must die. Anyone who dares to help the Green Sword Sect will be the enemy of my Golden Light Sword Sect. Slaughter the sect. Under the order of Golden Light Ancestor, thousands of sword cultivators who were hiding in the darkness of the night appeared on their flying swords, staring coldly at the Green Sword Sect below. The guests were so scared that their faces turned pale. They fled from the wedding hall, afraid that they would have any relationship with the Green Sword Sect. Tonight, the Golden Light Sword Sect wanted to annihilate the Green Sword Sect. No one could stop it. Tonight, Shi Ming, who was known as the #1 youth of Zhongshan country, would also fall. Uncle Zhou. Mother. Shi Ming closed his eyes and sighed softly. He was not afraid of death. His only regret was that he could not see Ning Fan and his mother before he died. In the next moment, Shi Ming opened his eyes in disbelief, looking at the two people who appeared out of nowhere in the night sky. A white-robed young man and a white-robed beautiful woman appeared in the night sky. No one saw how the two of them appeared. Uncle Zhou. Shi Ming's eyes that were always cold suddenly revealed a fiery look. In the next moment, Ning Fan and Bai Su landed outside the wedding hall. Ning Fan reached out his hand and patted Shi Ming's head, smiling. Little stone has grown up. Little stone. Bai Su's tears flowed down her face. The corner of Golden Light Ancestor's eyes shrunk. He didn't expect the Green Sword Sect to have external help, and that external help was Shi Ming's elder. He glanced at Ning Fan, but couldn't see through his cultivation base. Then he looked at Bai Su and his heart sank. Peak Gold Core Realm. This is bad. I didn't expect Shi Ming to have a Peak Gold Core Realm elder. I'm afraid there will be a tough battle today. However, judging from Bai Su's weak chi, she shouldn't be someone who is used to fighting. Her combat power shouldn't be high. Fellow Taoist Bei Yun, how about we work together to take down this woman? Golden Light Ancestor sneered. All right, but after this, she will be my human cauldron. Old Ancestor Bei Yun licked his lips. A Peak Gold Core Realm human cauldron was not something that could be found anywhere. As soon as the two of them finished speaking, they suddenly met Ning Fan's cold eyes. What a cold and emotionless look. There was only cold killing intent in his eyes. He is my disciple. Ning Fan's cold voice exploded in the sea of consciousness of Golden Light Ancestor and the others like countless claps of thunder. Golden Light Ancestor and Old Ancestor Bei Yun's expressions changed drastically. The expressions of everyone present changed drastically. Nascent. Nascent soul realm cultivator. This person's voice alone can intimidate us. He must be a nascent soul realm cultivator. Who, hubby, the Uncle Joe that you always mention to me is actually a nascent soul realm cultivator. Feng Feng Air was so shocked that she could not close her mouth. No. Uncle Joe isn't a nascent soul realm cultivator. He is. Shi Ming wanted to say that Ning Fan was a spirit-severing realm cultivator. But at the next moment, even he himself was shocked. Ning Fan isn't a spirit-severing realm cultivator. How could he just be a spirit-severing realm cultivator? A boundless aura force spread out from Ning Fan's body, causing the entire Zhongshan country to tremble. The mountains were shaking, the rivers were flowing in reverse, the earth was shaking violently, the sky was cracking and the void was completely disrupted. Void Fragmentation Realm. The legendary Void Fragmentation Realm cultivator. Old Ancestor Golden Light was scared out of his wits. Only a Void Fragmentation Realm cultivator could cause such a phenomenon. Void Fragmentation Realm. Void Fragmentation Realm. It was a realm that he did not even dare to think about. A Void Fragmentation Realm expert could slaughter an entire low-grade cultivation country with just a single magic technique. How could he dare to offend such a person? Senior, this is a misunderstanding. Please listen to my explanation. Old Ancestor Golden Light's body trembled and begged for mercy. Ning Fan's expression was still cold. He slowly raised his hand and clawed at the sky. He did not need any explanation. All he wanted was for everyone who targeted Shi Ming to die here. With just the strength of his claw, an unimaginable destructive force immediately swept across the vast sky, turning thousands of cultivators of the Golden Light sect into mists of blood. The thick smell of blood filled the air. Each of the guests who came to congratulate Ning Fan kept quiet out of fear. There was even a guest who had been to the Middle State before. With trembling hands, he took out a portrait from his storage pouch. That was the portrait of the evil Cloud Rain Sovereign. It can't be wrong. It can't be wrong. He is the evil Cloud Rain Sovereign. He is the Rain Sovereign. Just a single sentence from him scared everyone to death. Not only was he a Void Fragmentation Realm old monster, but he was also the strongest person in the 9 worlds, the evil Cloud Rain Sovereign. Greetings to the Rain Sovereign. Countless cultivators knelt on the Green Sword Mountain and kowtowed to Ning Fan. Ning Fan frowned. With a flick of his sleeve, all of them were directly lifted up. He turned around and looked at Shi Ming, whose eyes were filled with doubt. Then he smiled and touched Shi Ming's head, acting as close as before. Uncle Zhou? Shi Ming had a guess in his mind. He guessed that his Uncle Zhou was the dignified divine sovereign of the Rain world. However, this guess was too shocking. He did not dare to think about it. Silly child. I will always be your Uncle Zhou. Today is your wedding day. I brought your mother here to visit you. Ning Fan flicked his sleeve. A gold core realm Dao fruit slowly floated down from the night sky. It was left behind by old Ancestor Golden Light after his death. After thinking for a while, he took out a box of gold core realm Dao fruits from his storage pouch. That's right, it was a box. These are a token of our appreciation. Please accept them. Bai Su blushed. Was he that close to her? He actually said that. The sect master of the Green Sword sect was stunned. He had no idea that his son-in-law had such a terrifying background. The evil Cloud Rain Sovereign. The evil Cloud Rain Sovereign. A pill force like the Green Sword sect had actually become in-laws with the evil Cloud Rain Sovereign. This made him feel like he was in a dream. Feng Qing Air, on the other hand, was very obedient. After entering the wedding hall, she pulled Shi Ming to serve tea to Ning Fan and Bai Su. Let's treat Grandpa and Grandma to tea. No. It's not what you think. Bai Su wanted to explain the relationship between her and Ning Fan, but she did not know what to say. She lowered her head while blushing. Ning Fan took the teacup and gave Bai Su a meaningful look. He tasted the spiritual tea and nodded with satisfaction. This trip wasn't a mistake after all. You're tuning in to the Passion Pages YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support, and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.